We're judging the world and saying what sucks. We're reviews versus the world.
My Uncle Dave read all of those on the toilet.
My mom did the same thing.
Did she?
No, she just had them.
Oh.
My mom used to be a bath taker. We used to have the big bathtub in my house, and she would eat. Yeah.
No, he read all the books like when he was going to the bathroom.
It seems like there are certain rooms where...
Are we set up to start? Because
Sorry.
we've
This
been
has been
recording.
recording.
What? This has been recording?
This has been recording for the last 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh, Flanagan! When were you gonna tell us?
It's what I do.
Some of us have bedtime.
I try to capture some of the natural conversation until we can have a transition into the rest of the podcast.
I didn't have an awkward joke ready.
Oh.
I hope I didn't swear. It might have happened.
We ought to make like a collage or like.
I can just check the explicit box.
Wait, that's
And now this is Reviews versus the World After Hours.
None of us are wearing pants.
Except me, I have.
I just wanted to kill the whole room. Oh, jeez, John.
It
John,
would be weird if I
why don't
wasn't
you start the podcast since you're hosting?
Welcome to the Reviews versus the World. Woo!
Yay!
We'll be talking about Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. But first, we will be going around and seeing what everyone has been into for the last month, starting with Nathan!
Oh man! Okay, so I take my son to the comic book store whenever he comes over and buy him a comic book, and I always end up buying a 600-page Usagi Yojimbo collection. So I have 6 of these books that are 600 pages a piece.
Probably
Just
pretty.
all of I mean they're huge, but man, they're so good.
They are good.
So I've been reading that, and I've been playing a lot of my Switch, a bunch of different games. My favorite one right now is actually the Chef Brigade.
Battle Chef Brigade.
Battle Chef, yeah, it's awesome. It's
Is that
weird.
like
Which
overcooked?
one is that?
No, it's not like
it's
overcooked.
okay.
But like you
Overcooked
go
is
out.
really
and-
Battle Chef Brigade. Imagine like an anime version of
Master Chef.
Iron Chef.
Yeah, Iron Chef.
Of Iron Chef, except for you go out and you fight and kill your meats
Yeah.
to
And pick your
use for the
vegetables.
cooking.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound
and
like a mini
vegetables.
game.
It's so fun. It's so much fun. Oh my gosh, I put in like 35 hours on that thing like in 2 weeks. Like, it's awesome.
And isn't one of the
So-
shopkeepers like a double-headed ogre or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that's my life. Steven,
Okay,
go ahead.
Cricket.
Okay, well, so I have been into a couple of things. First of all, I've been watching Jane the Virgin on Netflix,
I've told you about it.
which
It's
I've
so
never
good.
seen before. Yeah, you know what? It's actually really great. Do you know what it reminds me of more than anything else? Pushing Daisies.
Oh, it does.
It's
really?
so much like Pushing
It
Daisies.
does, especially like the
check it out.
dialogue
So,
and just
like,
the.
more than that, like the episode structure is very reminiscent of Pushing Daisies, where you have the introduction that's usually a flashback to the main character's childhood. You have the narrator. You've got a lot of the over-the-top drama, and then thematically throughout the episode, you have flashbacks back to the flashback. Jane the Virgin's delightful. I don't like it as much as Pushing Daisies, but that's kind of like saying I don't like Little Caesars as much as Mama's Homemade Pizza, maybe? I don't know. It's better than Little Caesars, I'll say that. On the ranking of everything from best thing to worst thing, where best thing is Taco Tuesday and worst thing is
Gut Bomb Friday.
probably Batman v Superman, let's be real. Yeah. Jane the Virgin is definitely nearer the top than the bottom. I'm still only in the first season, but I'm just loving it. In particular,
Who do you ship?
who do I ship?
Michael or Raphael?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I like either of them terribly much yet. Michael was definitely too whiny. Raphael's too insecure. So I'm not on board with either ship yet. I ship Zoe and Jane's dad
Rogelio de la Vega is the greatest character on television.
Rogelio is great. Rogelio is the real deal. He is so funny. Just chews so much scenery.
He has his morning alarm that it's a wonderful day to be Rogelio. Wake up, Rogelio.
I didn't care about this show until just now.
Yeah. I've never seen it. I need to
change
watch
my
it.
ringtone.
He's a telenovela star.
Awesome.
So the whole show like draws inspiration from telenovelas. It's got the same level of drama. I love how fast paced the show is because there are very few dramatic developments that are left to fester for more than an episode or two. You get through them, you resolve them, and you move on to the next one. It all happens very, very quickly.
That's so nice.
And I also just love how like it does at its heart it is about a show about a character who wants to just do the right thing, and she makes mistakes, Jane does, but she's still like just trying really hard to be a good person and live the way that she feels she's supposed to and be honest with herself. And that's been so refreshing, is that there isn't a whole lot of her like keeping petty secrets from other people. When people do it to her, she gets mad, but she doesn't do it. She's always honest, and it's so refreshing.
That
I
is
need
so
to
nice.
watch this
So
show.
refreshing.
I might watch this show.
Apparently.
Why haven't we been
Well, Brady's
watching
been
the
talking
show?
about it for a long time.
I have.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. It's really quite good. And then I want to talk about a movie real fast that is going to be probably less effusively praised, and that would be Justice League, which I saw.
I threw up in my throat just a little bit when you said that.
Okay, so I gotta speak. I gotta stand up for this movie because Justice League is not that bad.
He's not
No, it's not
actually
that bad.
standing. Let's just point
Okay,
this out.
I'm not standing. It's fair. It's
he's
fair.
figuratively-
Fine, I will
Just did a
stand up and say this,
metaphorical-
ladies
Now
and
he has
gentlemen.
left his seat.
Justice League is fine. It's just fine.
I didn't think that him standing made his point any clearer. I'm still dead against this movie.
I loved The Flash.
Justice League is fine.
Ezra Miller's really funny.
It's
I
got
liked him as an actor a
we
lot.
were kind of before the recording started, maybe considering we were recording for 10 minutes before we started. But before the recording started, we were kind of talking about Justice League. So
We needed something to get out all of our bad language before
It's-
we were starting.
Justice League has got a lot
I
of
don't think they're
problems.
yet.
You can absolutely tell two directors worked on it.
Yeah.
Because you've got the scene that is emotionally very dead, but cinematography is very, very beautiful, and that's clearly from Zack Snyder.
Yes.
And then you've got this scene with this really out-of-place, off-color quip, but it was certainly funny. That's Joss Whedon. And there's very little cohesion. A lot of the characters, Aquaman might be terrible, guys.
But
Yeah.
he's so pretty.
That doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter.
It does
I
not
love
matter.
the white
So
stripes
pretty.
so much.
I don't think I should let my wife watch this movie anymore. This is the second person
Here's
she's
the
talking
thing.
about.
I
Spoken
don't
about.
plan on watching this movie ever again.
Yeah,
But
it's...
I don't tend to rewatch many superhero movies of recent because I'm tired of them.
my biggest complaint with Justice League is actually the fact that it's setting up. Wow, it's not that bad, John.
Down, let Steven speak.
I'm
This-
still
again-
mad about Batman versus Superman.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Here's the thing: Justice League actually works pretty well if you go into it pretending Batman v Superman didn't happen.
Right.
You just consider it to be a sequel to some other story that you never saw, where Superman wound up dead at the end of it, and it's fine.
Seems legit.
It's fine. It works out okay. You can. There are a couple of things where it's like, oh, you can't really ignore Batman v Superman, but it's significantly better than Batman v Superman. Of the recent slew of DC movies, it is the second best.
This turd is less smelly than the previous turd that did escape.
Yeah, like
No,
I think we judge it-
mostly. Go ahead.
I think we judge it at the level of the MCU, and that's unfair.
Also,
it's about as good as
or
like
just previous
Ant-Man,
Batman.
Thor 2. It's as good as
It's about as good as Thor 2.
It's as good as the lesser MCU movies.
Sure.
It really is.
And when you have a bar to reach that's really hard to reach, I mean, of course it's gonna not be as good as
But
the
potentially,
MCU.
Batman versus Superman, like they could have done. It was just
Okay, but we're not
garbage.
talking about Batman v Superman right now.
No.
John, if you'll let the grown-ups talk about the thing that they've actually seen.
I'm gonna take my ball and go home. My Spider-Man ball.
Here's the thing. Like, I have... There's so much great DC entertainment out there right now.
There is.
Outside of the DCEU.
Yep.
Lego Batman.
Yeah,
Lego Batman is
Batman's
one of my
great.
favorite Batman movies. Not animated movies, not Lego
It
movies.
is my favorite Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like,
But, you know, I've been playing a lot of Injustice 2. And that is a much better story and much better characters in a video game, a fighting video game, than anything that the DCEU has thrown together.
Arkham games.
Well, the Arkham games, the Telltale Batman game, I got that on the Switch, and it is an awesome story. It's an awesome Batman story. And then you have even the TV shows, like they did their Crisis on Earth X or whatever they called it, where it was a crossover of all the different shows. And while the quality of those shows hasn't exactly been great as of late, that crossover event where it was basically the length of a feature-length film was... I'll just come out and say that I actually even liked it better than Wonder Woman. And... I will end up seeing this. I'll end up seeing
So
it.
you're bagging on the film and you haven't seen it either.
Well, it's because there's so much better entertainment out there.
You can't say it's better. You haven't seen it. You can't say it's better. You haven't seen it.
5 points to Gryffindor.
Oh, he's
In this
Slytherin.
metaphor, I'm
He's
Gryffindor.
Slytherin.
Guys, can we just point out how funny it is that I'm defending something that y'all are being down on? Because really, that's not the way this dynamic is supposed to work.
I have no investment in the movie universe.
See, and I saw that movie
And I think that is where I'm getting with this is if I want a good Batman story, if I want a good Superman story, if I want a good DC story, I don't have to go to these shoddy films.
You can go to comic books.
Or the animated stories. The DC New Frontier was a really great movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, and I've been rewatching the Batman animated series.
So good.
we're really jumping off ship here.
Anyway,
Steven hasn't gotten his point
What's
across.
Steven? What's
you,
your
you,
redeeming?
you thought it was okay.
The movie is fine. Like, my big concern with it is actually, again, like, super trivial and petty. Darkseid happens to be my all-time favorite villain in comics, potentially in all of fiction, and they have already kind of messed up Darkseid in the Fourth World. I don't think they're going to get it right, but for what it is, which is a mess of a film with a really shoddy production, founded on a couple of the worst movies that have ever been made, and Wonder Woman, Justice League turned out surprisingly okay. I went and saw it on a $5 Tuesday. And it was easily $5 worth of entertainment. There's a lot of great action sequences. Gal Gadot is still fantastic as Wonder Woman, despite the fact that now we get upskirt shots of Wonder Woman, which is just so wildly inappropriate.
It's so
I get-
blatant.
It's so bad.
Especially with how good Wonder Woman was about that.
Yeah.
Where it was
Well,
like all of the armor is functional. They look good because they look good. It's not like, we're parading the Themysciran women. I don't even know what those
Bikini six-packs warriors holding up columns of dirt.
Thank you, Zack Snyder.
I think it's that I wanted.
Actually, that could have been Joss
That could have
Whedon,
been
too.
Joss Whedon.
That could have been
Yeah.
either of them. Let's be real.
I think it's that I want good movies about those characters, and so far,
Justice League is fine. Like, it actually, the reason that I can recommend Justice League is you get decent character moments for its most important characters. Wonder Woman gets some great moments. Batman gets the most inspiring moment in the film.
Yep.
There's a
should be.
There's one line that Batman delivers. He says, "Save one person." I'm not going to give you anything else, none of the context, anything, but that line right there gave me the goosebumps that I like to get from superhero films. Ezra Miller's Flash, a lot of people found him obnoxious. I thought he was okay.
I think
He was
he's great.
He's
funny.
great.
I
He's
liked
pretty
him.
funny.
In that
all
group,
in
it
all-
sounds like they need some levity.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, like, tonally, and this is absolutely Joss Whedon's intervention more than Zack Snyder's. Tonally, this film manages to be a fun superhero romp, somewhat in the vein of the DC or the MCU. it's not necessarily the redemption of the DC EU.
No.
That's still Wonder Woman, frankly. But
It's because of Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot is she's so good.
You should see Kate McKinnon's impression of her that she did on Jimmy Fallon. It's hilarious. If you have not seen it,
I need to look
listeners,
that up,
and all y'all
Kate
in here.
McKinnon is a national treasure.
I love Kate McKinnon, and she does a very accurate Gal Gadot impression.
So that was me derailing the podcast for a 20-minute diatribe on Justice League. It's surprisingly worth seeing, as is Jane the Virgin, and that's what I've been into for the last month.
Yes,
me.
I remember one more thing. Can I talk about one more geeky thing I've done? Okay. So my mom had foot surgery, and she's like laid up in bed, and I have all the all of the seasons of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and we've been binge watching Brooklyn
That's
Nine-Nine.
not geeky. That just means you're human and you have a soul and can laugh at funny things.
Oh my gosh! Like it kills
Such a
us.
good
Like my
show.
mom and I will like sit down. We're like, wow, was that
Andre
10
Brower
episodes?
as Captain Holt
Yeah,
is a treasure.
right.
I'm a couple of episodes behind, probably like this whole season behind. I just haven't.
Yeah, I haven't
taken
started
time,
season 5 yet, but oh my gosh.
but hilarious.
We'll like watch 5 episodes and be like, did we just watch 5 episodes?
Oh, it's so funny.
It is
Anyway.
one though that like some shows like you'll binge and like every time the theme music comes on you're like, oh, the volume's up too loud. That's one. West Wing is one where it's just like, oh, show's going on and then bah! Yeah.
Yeah.
The Halloween episodes specifically of Brooklyn Nine-Nine are my favorite. Oh my gosh. Well, I love Michael Schur just in general, but
I think every single character in that show is worth something. I mean, they're all good.
Even Hitchcock and Skull.
Yeah, even his guys are freaking hilarious. Like everybody's.
I don't know if he's
I'm
talking
not-
about his wife or his dog. I'm even more confused now.
I'm not the biggest fan of Gina. I'll just call it the Tom Haverford effect, where it's
Dude's funny.
character who tries to be way too trendy and hip, and it just bugs the crap out of me.
But they're supposed to be obnoxious, and
Yeah.
Aziz Ansari is hilarious.
Oh yeah, Master of None is one of my favorite shows.
I love it when Jeannie gets hit by the bus because like she's like, I'd rather get hit by a bus than get another text from Boyle, and she gets a text from Boyle and gets hit by a bus.
I love that she's part of this family. It's Emily's turn. It's Emily's
Sorry,
turn.
Emily.
She's
I
patiently
just had
playing
to-
with her Lego.
Good. Okay, so I didn't come prepared for talking about geeky things because somehow that's
we don't
slipped my
ever
mind.
do this. This is a
But-
thing we sprung on her.
Yeah. You should have just seen the eye roll from John. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, I was really excited to talk about our topic and I forgot. Shut up, John. Let me think. Oh, so after many long months of frustrated waiting, Curtis is
God.
laughing.
Should I just get talk about it?
Fuller House Season 3 Part 2
You should have
was
seen.
finally made available for my viewing pleasure.
You should have
Probably
seen
just mine. I don't know anyone else who's watching it except for me.
my life that night. That she watched season 3 and it ends halfway through in season 3 part 1, and there isn't another episode. She legit stood up and started yelling at the television.
I lost my mind.
What?
So I've been waiting very patiently, Netflix, you stupid for part 2, and I got it, and it was okay. And, which is fine.
See that right there, that phenomenon is what I like to call anticipation.
That's disappointment.
But more importantly than that, for Christmas this year, my dearest husband sitting beside me.
As opposed to your less dear husband, who's
Yeah,
still at home
he's
with the
in
kids.
the trunk of the car.
We live in Utah. It's okay.
I was gonna say this is Utah, so
2017. Stop judging me.
2017. It's almost 2018. Curtis bought me the full series of The Nanny, which he had never.
Oh man, I love
The Nanny is one of my favorite shows of all time.
yeah, you have mentioned that. I just blocked it out because that voice I don't like.
I don't get why people are so hung up on her voice. Just watch the show. Get over it. It's so good. Anyway,
so funny.
Curtis had never seen it until we were on our
Bet
honeymoon.
you've seen it now.
Hold on. Emily's speaking now. Emily's very patient person. She's speaking now. Shh. Stop laughing.
Okay, go ahead.
Curtis had never seen it until our honeymoon when we were in Mexico. And in Mexico on Netflix, there's tons of shows like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and all that stuff. Yes, John.
I just wanted to ask about television on the honeymoon.
Oh, just on our laptop. They had Wi-Fi.
No, the necessity of any other form of it. Never mind.
Okay,
It's not my business.
So,
We can
Yeah,
talk
you
later.
spent your time.
I'll tell you about the Germans.
After hours. What?
I don't want to know
Oh,
what that
I'd
is.
love to hear about the Germans.
Yes,
Why is the Germans part of the story about Mexico?
We could tell you later. It is not safe for children.
Hey, how many Germans does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
Only one, because we are very efficient and not very funny.
That was a great joke.
Oh my gosh, Emily.
Emily is so mad. I'm
let's finish my story.
I had to tell that joke.
My
You don't
whole
understand.
life.
When there's an opportunity to speak like the Germans, you have to tell the joke, and you can't just sit there and let time pass.
You sound like Hogan's Heroes.
I don't actually speak German. I only speak TV German accent.
The end of my story is that Curtis saw it on our honeymoon, and he's like, "Hey, this show isn't so bad. I asked for it for Christmas. He got me the whole series. Now we're watching it together, and it's really funny."
How many? It
and
went on
sweet.
for a long time, right?
And, 9 seasons.
9 seasons.
Yep, 9 seasons.
And the kids grow up.
Sure do.
There's no recasts. There's no cousin
Not
Oliver
one.
situations.
Nope, thank heavens. Curtis
So
doesn't know
that's
everything
great.
that happens, though.
I don't yet. I'm
So-
on
I don't
season
know.
1.
Okay, maybe there's a cousin Oliver that shows up.
There's not a cousin
or,
Oliver.
or like a Dick Sargent, Dick York kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
Never
Annie
met either.
becomes the Manny halfway through.
Hold on. Dick York. Dick York.
She
Sergeant-
regenerates.
Sergeant York.
She regenerates.
As if we wouldn't notice.
As if we wouldn't notice. That's also one of my favorite scenes in Wayne's World. Now that I get to go off, thanks, John. The scene where they're talking about how advertising, I will not bow to
Did
any
he sponsor Pizza Hut?
Pizza Hut. And then the best one is when Garth is leaning back in that chair
Head
wearing
to
all
toe
that.
Reebok.
Head to toe Reebok. He's like, it's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
I can't talk about this right now. I'm getting a headache.
Here.
Try 2 of these. Ah, new print. Little, yellow, different.
If you guys have never seen Wayne's World, get out. And also see
Did you
Wayne's
ever
World.
think Bugs Bunny dressed up as a woman was attractive? No, did you?
No, I was just asking.
No,
Me
just,
neither.
just
I was
asking.
sick. And now I'm done.
You know,
I
okay,
finished-
Wayne's World 2, I really enjoy.
Wayne's World 2 is great.
Okay, I think that Ozzy wouldn't go on stage that night till he had 1,000 brown M&Ms to fill a brandy glass. So Jeff Beck pops his head in the door and says, "There's a sweet shop on the edge of town, but it's closed." So there we are at 3 in the morning. Me, Keith Moon, and Jeff Beck trying to break into this sweet shop. They didn't have a guard dog. It was a great big bloody Bengal tiger. I managed to subdue the tiger with a can of mace, but the shopkeeper and his son were a whole other story altogether. He beat them to death with their own shoes. Nasty business, really. But in the end, we got the M&Ms, and Ozzy played a great show. And he tells the story every chance he gets, like 3 times in the movie. And everyone's just like, when and Garth hear it the second time, they're like, "Oh, here we go again," and they just back out of the scene.
Let me just cross all the T's and dot all the
Lowercase
J's.
J's.
Kevin Pollak. We should do a Kevin Pollak.
Yeah.
Wait, he has his own podcast. We don't have to do a podcast.
All right.
Just 2 or 3 really short ones. Of something super nerdy that I did was I bought the Lego Saturn V, and I'm super proud of it. It has 1,969 pieces
Wow.
for the Saturn V rocket.
Because we went
'Cause-
to the moon in 1969.
Because
And
we landed on the moon in
I
1969 and it has
later.
1969 pieces. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked with that. There's very few things in the world that I geek out more about than the Apollo program. Just
Now, how much of it do you see the inside?
yes,
It's
you
not
see the
just,
stages. It goes
'cause
Saturn 1C.
They could
Saturn
just
2,
do the
Saturn
outside
4.
of it and be like, "Yep, it's the whole rocket in there."
No, dude,
No,
the
it's a whole
stages
production.
come apart
That's
and
cool.
you
That's
can even
really cool.
it even comes with like the little lamb and it has to scale Lego men and they're like this
They're so
big.
cute.
The Saturn V is
They're
this
little.
big. It is
Wow.
this big, and when you lean it up, yeah,
So you
it'd
could
be
do the
taller
whole
than this table.
launch.
Yeah,
And that is cool.
Each of the
Does
stages.
the command module come away from the service
yes, it
module?
does.
Yeah.
I really liked Apollo 13.
Yes, I love it. The Apollo missions are so incredible.
Yeah.
So incredible.
You know what this reminds me of is Robot Chicken, where they launch the space shuttle and it just falls over and like it's all like fire and the astronauts are like they're like in there like panicking and they're like their faces, they're horrible faces, and they got like big grins on their faces, and they're like trying to break in like to the glass, but they have like plastic hammers and it's plastic glass, so they can't like break in. And then like they go to a press conference and they're like, apparently the C9 part was missing from the kit when we built it.
Wait, it's Robot Chicken, but it's the Lego, like it's Lego, or were they
Yeah.
reenact? Okay.
No, it's Lego.
For a second there, I was like, why would you joke about that?
You
like,
can
right?
look it up on
I
YouTube.
know,
just
that
look up
challenging.
Robot Chicken Space Shuttle, and it'll come up.
after I watched Kate McKinnon as Gal Gadot.
No,
That was
And
that
all of Jane the Virgin.
That was number one. Number two is I rewatched all of the modern Doctor Who again, just to do it. I got further than the Peter Capaldi version that I've ever gotten. I still didn't finish it. I just
We're
was
close,
ready for
though.
the breath of
We're
fresh air
less.
in Doctor Who. I remember making jokes about Doctor Who when I joined an improv team in like 2009, and nobody got the jokes because nobody watched that show. And I saw that show become something and then become kind of like a, sorry for the language, a bastardization of itself. And now there's going to be a breath of fresh air. Somebody new. There's a whole new production team. So I'm excited and I want to watch it
You're
again.
not a Capaldi fan?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. I have no
I've-
dog in the fight.
I'm not-
I'm just
Yeah,
interested.
I thought I was going to be because he was different, totally different. But no, I didn't love him.
I'm not.
Um,
not a
I like the punk rock
I
vibe
didn't expect it.
that he has.
Yeah, and that
Some
he's
episodes.
broken, and that that he's going to be fixed by the companion and not the other way around is kind of
Yeah.
kind of driving the whole thing. Oh gosh, I had another one.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Game-related.
sorry, that should be it.
I have a Doctor Who thing. I didn't know this, saw it online, that the creators of Rugrats were Doctor Who fans. And there were little Daleks as toys in the background of an episode. And Tommy, as you'll know, never goes anywhere without his screwdriver in his diaper. And there are little things like that.
Oh.
Apparently hidden.
Oh.
They're all over the
Which
place.
I didn't
cool.
know. I love Rugrats. Well, up until like the first movie.
Oh,
Stopped watching.
I can't watch this.
See, got him back on track.
I remember what I was going to talk about. So last time I was here in the podcast, it was a year ago, and I said that I was going to read 100 books in a year.
Oh,
All right.
I read 66. I
That's
did
not
Well,
bad.
not
we
make
moved
it.
into a new house.
We moved into a
Respectable.
house. It
Yeah.
was 66 of them, and it was insane. And
I didn't even read 66 books, and all I read were comics.
Yeah, it has made me see the world a little bit differently, and that's all I wanted.
What? Hold on. What are some favorites out of the?
Into Thin Air, John Krakauer or Jack Krakauer, I don't remember his name. Into
John-
Thin Air,
John-
read it straight up.
I've seen the movie.
Sorry, read it. Read it.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
For Whom the Bell Tolls,
Oof.
which is basically Rogue One. Spoiler alert. And it's really was an incredible novel. There were some that were a little bit different that I really loved too. Like I reread The Call of the Wild, which everybody reads when they're like 12. It meant something different to me as an adult. I was A River Runs Through It. I read the first probably 9/10 of that book is awful, and then the last 4 pages, I literally laid in my bed and I wept. I wept and I cried. If you've ever read that book, you'll know exactly what I mean. East of Eden, which is probably one of the better written books I've ever read.
East of Eden is top 5 all-time greatest
Oh my
books for me.
gosh.
Like, oh, it's so good.
When you talk about a character who is the best written psychopath,
Oh, yikes.
the mother,
What's her name,
she is
Kate?
a psychopath.
Oh,
I was actually,
jeez.
funny enough, I read a thing about psychopathy sometime last year, and she hits all of the different spectrum of psychopathy. She's incredible. Anyway, so it made me look the world a little bit different. So I feel it is a success, even though I barely did 2/3.
But 66 books. It's not like
Oh.
you got a 66 on like a test or something. Like,
Right.
That's a lot. What? That's more than a book a week.
And you'll have to see the list too. They were not simple.
Yeah,
books.
there's some Tolstoy on there if I remember right.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
Fyodor Dostoevsky and the Brothers
Right.
Karamazov.
Oh,
Brothers
jeez.
Karamazov.
I
is
actually
one of my
love
favorites.
the Brothers
Oh, I
Karamazov.
love Brothers Karamazov.
Again, we can talk about that. The Grand Inquisitor
Oh,
and the Jedi.
man. Yes.
Okay, we can talk about that with the Last Jedi.
I had to
Podcast
parts
topic
of
for a
that.
future month.
Yes, the Grand Inquisitor.
This whole. I think we talked about that part of that book in one of my Russian literature classes, and like my brain folded on itself.
Okay.
Like, okay,
Your
I
eyes
will
were
use the
Those
closed.
are
Jedi.
good.
I
Yeah,
can
you
teach
can
you it
do
again,
that.
but using the Jedi, and it's a perfect representation
Yeah.
of the light side and the Jedi. Because they're not the same thing.
So I've read a lot of Russian literature, and Dostoevsky is well. Pushkin's also amazing, but if you don't speak Russian, you can't have the appreciation of Pushkin. But Dostoevsky's my favorite.
Who wrote The Sound and Fury?
William Faulkner.
Faulkner.
Okay, that was a German. Just kidding.
Brady.
Okay, so I'll just do my quick what I've been playing on the Switch update. I had to bring my Switch downstairs so I could do this. Thimbleweed Park, which is a classic point-and-click style adventure game. It's actually by Ron Gilbert, who's one of the guys behind the Monkey Island games, and it's hilarious. My favorite character is Ransom the Clown, who is a very, very foul-mouthed insult comic clown.
That's the best type of comic clown.
And just the beeps are wonderful there, but it's very funny, very good. Oxenfree, which is an absolutely it's a great story in the way that it does the dialogue. This is one that's kind of mostly you're just walking and like taking part in these conversations with people around you as you're a couple of millennials. That's just the best way that I could do it because they're like 20-somethings who are meeting their friends on this island where they hear that some weird things happen in the caves. But it's actually really, really good. It's normally $20. Right now, as of this recording, it's only $5 on the eShop. So
Awesome.
It's a great purchase. I really recommend it. Batman: The Telltale series. I love the Telltale games, and then I don't love them, and I kind of go off and on them. But this one is really good. It's a great Batman story. SteamWorld Heist. It's great. I love all the SteamWorld games. Enter the Gungeon. I buy way too many games, guys.
What?
No.
That doesn't sound like you.
Enter the Gungeon. It's a roguelike where everything is gun themed, and so like I got one gun that it's a bullet that shoots out little guns. It's pretty good. You just get lots of random guns and things and go through a dungeon.
That also doesn't sound like a me game.
Tiny Metal, which is basically Advance Wars. Brawl Out, which is basically Smash Brothers. The Mummy Demastered, which is based on the recent Mummy movie, but it's so much better than the recent Mummy movie. And it also came out like 6 months after that movie, so it's kind of weird how it fell on that.
I wanted that movie to be good, and it was just so hated I didn't even bother.
But the one of all these recent ones that I've probably been playing the most is Skyrim.
So good.
But yeah,
I keep wanting to go back to that, and I realize, I still have the Super NES, classic that I haven't even played all of those games.
I love that.
It's awesome.
and as of right now, I have purchased 40 games for my Switch.
I didn't realize they had that many to begin with.
There are quite a few.
Oh.
The virtual console, what do they call it?
The eShop.
The Nintendo eShop has a lot of buried treasures on it. There are a few little games that I picked up. I've talked about, I recommended Sheffy before to Nate and Brady.
It's good.
Game about breeding sheep. There's Golf Story, which I still haven't picked up, but I've heard amazing things about. Stardew Valley's on the Switch.
Oh, Stardew Valley's great.
I picked up a game called the Moon Hunters. It's basically a Zelda game mixed with a personality test. It's kind of charming in its own way. There are a lot of quirky little games on the Switch that are absolutely worth getting.
I wanted to try that one.
There's also this quirky little game that you might have heard of called Breath of the Wild.
Which is so good.
I may have sunk 120 hours into it by this point.
125. Brady and I looked at your profile before
Whoa!
recording this.
Calling him out.
I was playing Zelda, and that's why I was late.
I had never seen Mario and Rabbids, or what is
Oh,
that?
it's so good. Mario plus Rabbids.
That's the kind of game that I've always wanted to play and didn't know. I was like, because it's turn-based combat. It's really cool. I was just watching Chris play it, and I gotta steal a Switch now. That's a thing. It's gonna be a heist, and it's gonna be me stealing a Switch. And, yeah.
So other than that, I did read all of Oathbringer, which is a third book in the Stormlight Archives, which John is kind of iffy on, but I liked it more than him. I'd probably give it a good B+.
I'm still in. Don't get me wrong.
It's my least favorite of the Stormlight Archives, but the Stormlight Archives is still the best my favorite fantasy series that I've ever read. So that's not saying anything bad about that. But after that, I needed a little bit. I needed some comfort food after reading a 1,200-page book, and
As anyone would.
and so I went back and I've actually started reading the Dresden Files again. Which the Dresden Files, it's about a wizard in modern day Chicago, who's basically a PI, and people normally hire him like, I lost my wedding ring, and then he'll use magic to find it. But of course, there's a lot of intrigue and things that happen, and
They're fun.
They're fun. They're dumb. They're fun. But
Both of those things are true.
I really recommend it. But the audiobooks, because I do everything audiobooks for books, because I don't have time to sit down and read, because I'm going to be
I
playing
don't
my
have time to
Switch.
turn pages. I got things to do.
And so the audiobook is actually read by James Marsters,
Oh, wow.
Really?
as in Spike from Buffy.
Yeah.
And speaking of James Marsters, Runaways on Hulu,
Yes.
because he's in that show. It's really
Who
good.
does he play?
He's the scientist dad.
Chase's dad?
Yeah, Chase's dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was going to talk about that.
Okay.
So that's an amazing segue.
Okay, then I will just
That's why
turn it right
Brady's
over
the
to you.
boss, everybody. No, okay. So, what have you read in the comics?
I have read nothing.
Good. Just don't. Like,
Okay.
it's not. I love the comics. It might be like one of my favorites, if not favorite. And they're doing their own thing. It's different, but I still enjoy it. They've got the tone of it, I think, right. I think they've made the characters interesting. I was really worried that it was going to be like a really crappy, angsty teenage show, and it is an angsty teenage show, but it's done well. There's good production value. I really enjoy it. Has everybody else read Runaways, or is somewhat interested in watching? Okay, well, watch the show.
I
interested in the show, I just
have no
haven't seen it.
context.
The Runaways is a Marvel comic.
Can we not do this?
Yeah, I was out of notes anyway.
There's only a certain number of
what's
notes
good
somebody
about
can
the
hear.
Runaways? The whole thing is, it's a bunch of kids find out that their parents are supervillains.
Okay.
And there's 6 families, 6 kids, all only children. They're part of a secret society that are trying to bring back some elder gods from the dead.
Okay.
And once they also find out in the process of finding out about their parents and trying to get to the bottom of that, because they witnessed them killing a girl as part of a sacrifice. Which I didn't warn my wife about when we watched the pilot, and that was kept the same from the comics, and I was like, oh, remember that girl we saw in the first scene? Yeah, she's going to come back. She going to die. And my wife was like, what is this show? And I was like, no, wait, they're heroes. Like, the kids are superheroes. Oh, crap. So the kids find out that they have special powers. And it's a really weird team. One girl finds out that she has a pet dinosaur, like not a raptor, but the I forget how to pronounce it. A big raptor. She can control her with her mind.
Okay.
There's one girl who finds out she's a mutant and she's super powerful, which they've yet to resolve, but maybe they'll be actually able to say mutant because they bought 20th Century Fox.
Hey,
Ding ding.
One girl is a sorceress. One girl is an alien who can fly and shoot energy weapons. One's a prodigy. One kid is like an inventor and has Iron Man type gloves and yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's a weird assembling of team, and it takes place in Los Angeles, which most Marvel comics are somewhere in they're mostly in New York. There are
yeah.
some other places, and they go everywhere, obviously. But so their whole thing was their parents were this secret organization that ran the crime in Los Angeles. Like they were in charge of everything and kept superheroes out, kept everything at bay, kept other rival bad guys at bay. And the kids try to take him down, and so that's
Cool.
So we're yes, Steven?
I'm just trying to get signal on my cell phone. Don't let me distract you from talking about the thing.
They've changed a few points on the show. It's not quite the same as the comics, but I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be good.
it's well acted, well written.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
yeah.
I actually really like. I really like the slower pace. But
yeah. Yeah, which I'm surprised because I thought that would be something that would have killed it if I had heard about it before. But it is like a slower paced show.
They
but
haven't
you're
run away yet.
Yeah, they haven't run away yet. It does take them a while to run away. I forget how many issues in before they do run away in the comics. So to me, at least it's accurate with that. But also, my brother-in-law was part of a Kickstarter to make coins from Mistborn.
Oh.
Both the original trilogy and the new one. And it's weird how they colored like the ones from the old one. They're like blackened by ash. He gave me one of the free ones he got. You know how in the Kickstarter, like there's like, you know, 1 million people who do like the $20 level, and then there's a couple of people who do like the big amounts or whatever. I guess he was one of the 11 people who did the big amounts. So he gave me a I forget what denomination it is, but it's from the original series. It has all the symbols of the
All the
all the elements.
symbols.
Yeah. And then Kritik Shaw, just pass that around.
I thought that was
Oh,
a
that
token
is-
from Chuck E. Cheese, but apparently it's not.
You know, kind of. I mean, it might work if you slipped it in there, but
That is cool.
it's pretty cool. So yeah, it has the Lord Ruler, the bad guy, his base on there, which I always thought was a cool thing.
Mistborn's great.
Hill
You
of
should read
Thousand
it.
Spires. Yeah, man, now I feel like I should have read more Russian literature because I just skimmed it, you know, in getting my Russian degree. I read a lot of poetry. I mean, I could recite Lermontov for you and could talk about Pushkin's work, but
Lermontov is great.
anyhow, yeah, I feel like I'm lacking in my novels because I had to read them in English and skim them.
Ooh, it's heavy.
Yeah, they did a really good job. He got a coin pouch for it. He got, I want to say little booklets to store them in. I can't remember. He's a coin collector anyway, and really loved these books. So this was like tailor made for him. So,
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
so read Mistborn if you haven't. I needed a breath of fresh air after Oathbringer because I started to listen to it again, and I was like, I'm not ready. So with an Audible credit, I got Shadow the Hegemon. Which, like, you know, say what you will about Orson Scott Card as a person.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steven.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Well, that's understandable. I love those books. The Shadow series, I love them. Shadow Hegemon's one of my favorites, and it still holds up. It's great. I really like that series and those characters. So
Okay. No, I actually had this conversation with a couple people recently.
yeah,
Orson Scott Card and M. Night Shyamalan belong to this weird club. Whether their stuff is good or bad, it always makes me feel like I need to take a shower. All the time. There's something about Orson Scott Card's writing, and I don't know what it is with Shyamalan. Maybe it's his direction or his pacing. I have no idea, but there's something that they both have in common is that they both make me extraordinarily uncomfortable.
really.
Yes.
Ender's Game.
Ender's Game might be the only exception. Literally every other Orson Scott Card book I've read.
Have you read Ender's Shadow?
Ender's
the
Shadow.
Hegemon?
Ender's Shadow on page 3 has 12-year-old prostitutes. So yeah, I think that one I can pretty definitively point to what the gross thing is.
Well, that's more like the world is awful, and that's what makes you want to.
Sounds like a
sure
Sublime
is.
song.
Yeah, no, like
It's the wrong way.
Ender's Game, at least, I have some very positive feelings towards, and it always kind of makes me sad that the movie wasn't better.
It was never going to be, no.
No, it wasn't going to be, of course, but
Animated as a series, like Last
Maybe?
Airbender.
maybe
Maybe.
that would have worked.
Or just no adaptation because we have a book, we have an audiobook, and that's plenty.
That's true.
They're also doing comic series kind of filling in the gaps of the early wars and stuff.
Interesting.
I flipped through one, it was decent.
Okay.
It, talks about, like, they had space miners, but no real military in space, and so, like, between some, you know, Mazer Rackham and some Marines and these, like, space miners, they, like, were able to fight off the first invasion kind of thing, so.
Interesting.
Actually, it wouldn't work with the first invasion. I don't know what they changed for the novels compared to the... Anyway. I like him. It's a great audiobook. The team that reads all of his books, they're really talented voice actors, and they do, you know, depending on who the narrator is, it changes the person reading it. And I think the only thing better than that would be Jim Dale. Like, Jim Dale is the best. Then these guys, maybe Douglas Adams reading his own books is also top 1 or 2, but great audiobooks. So that's what I've been into. And now I think we should take a break before we get into The Last Jedi. So, yeah.
That's a thing we're going to talk about today. Brainiac. If they ever reboot Superman again, make Brainiac the villain.
Why is Brainiac never? Because Brainiac's an awesome villain.
Brainiac is...
And then you can have Zod be a bigger bad, and then you can have Darkseid be a bigger
Don't
bad.
do Zod.
He's
Don't
the
do
villain.
Zod. Don't do Zod.
I liked Man of Steel.
Like,
I didn't like what they did to Pa Kent,
Right.
but everything else was okay.
I can defend a lot of Man of Steel. I can't defend Pa Kent. I can defend the rest of a lot of the rest of the movie. I can even defend the ending to some extent. At least I could before Batman v Superman came out and squandered all the goodwill.
Yeah.
Like, we need comics accurate Doctor Doom.
That would be
Doctor
cool.
Doom would be good.
We need comics accurate Doctor Doom. Don't make him a blogger. Don't be embarrassed about the fact that he's a techno wizard from the imaginary country that he happens to rule. Just play Doctor Doom straight.
Here's the thing: Fox had announced that they were working on a Doctor Doom movie. Not
Disney's gonna wipe the slate clean.
Wait. That it's a Doctor Doom specific movie, but it's being made by Noah Hawley, who did Legion and Fargo.
I think that one of the best carried out
Doctor
series, though,
Doom is a villain. Go on.
best carried out villains in all of belong to Fox though with Magneto. So they could have done Doctor Doom
To a point.
Oh, dude, both Magnetos are awesome.
I think the best villains we've gotten: Heath Ledger's Joker, in The Dark Knight.
That may be one of the single greatest cinematic performances of all time.
Agreed.
Loki,
Daredevil, Kingpin,
Purple Man.
Purple Man.
Oh,
to a lesser extent,
Man.
Purple Man. I think Kingpin's just miles better than Purple Man. Purple Man's still good,
Yeah.
Yellow-Eyed Demon, and Legion.
which I still haven't seen.
Aubrey
It's-
Plaza.
Aubrey
It's
Plaza, man.
Oh man.
Another national treasure.
God, I do not get her.
That's because you're wrong.
I do not get her. Everybody loves Aubrey Plaza. I don't get her. I don't get her.
Watch. Yes.
I just want that loop.
Watch Legion. Watch Legion. She's
Parks and Rec,
amazing
man.
in Legion.
Look at
Okay.
Andy and April's relationship as this: a puppy marries a cat.
She's great in 100% of things I've ever seen her.
Yeah.
0% of things.
Because you're wrong.
Watch Scott Pilgrim again. She's terrific.
Oh my gosh, that's right. She's
Forget it, Scott.
How are you doing that with your mouth?
I showed Brittany Scott Pilgrim the other day. She was not impressed.
Oh. Which I love that I saw the movie first. This is what I'm doing with Ready Player One. I'm going to see the movie first and then read the book so that I'm not ruining one for the other. Because if you look at the book as like
You would
the
not
whole
ruin.
story.
You would not ruin anything. But that book is bad.
I
That's what
I have faith in
That book is
Steven
bad.
Spielberg, though.
All I saw is that there's somebody running around in a DeLorean and the nostalgia kicked in and I was like, I don't care.
And then the
And the Iron Giant.
And the Iron Giant, yeah.
Well, that's because all that Ready Player One is a badly written nostalgia play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, at the same time, I really hated Transformers. So.
I liked the first one. I had cool car chases.
The first Transformers movie?
I had cool car chases.
The problem with the first Transformers movie is it had the wrong protagonist.
Yep. Cool car chases, though.
Well, yeah.
Can we talk about the car chases?
Here's the thing. Like, the first Transformers movie is almost good. And up until recently, I would have said that the correct protagonist would have been that military guy that they're following around the whole time. It actually should have been Megan Fox. Like,
That wasn't going to happen in a Michael Bay movie.
No, it wasn't going to happen in a Michael Bay movie. Despite the fact that Michael Bay named...
He didn't have the cocoa butter budget needed to keep her skin.
Okay. No. Like, I gotta tell you this. There's this... Okay, first of all, do you remember the name of the character, of Megan Fox's character in Transformers 1 and 2?
No.
What?
Michaela.
It's Michaela Baines.
It means nothing to me.
Who's the director?
Michael... Oh, jeez.
Michael Bay... She's named after him.
Oh my gosh.
But here's the thing. Like, I watched this video essay about the Transformers. If you guys know Lindsay Ellis.
Yeah.
Lindsay Ellis has a series where she talks about the Transformers films. And she calls it The Whole Plate after that line from the first Transformers movie. I hate the whole plate because he eats the whole plate of donuts because it's a Michael Bay movie and therefore the dialogue is bad. But anyway, like...
That was kind of a funny moment, but I hate that movie.
I'm not buying you a Porsche.
Here's the thing, like...
Best part of
She goes through and she analyzes
Uncle
the
Bobby
movie,
V, baby.
and Michaela Baines, Megan Fox's character, has the only character arc. She's the only character who changes from the beginning to the end. She has the skills that are needed to resolve most of the problems. Witwicky, what's his... Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf's character.
Coming out the clouds, that's Shia LaBeouf.
That's the best video on YouTube. Shia LaBeouf's character, his MacGuffin. Like, everything about him is just MacGuffin-y. But Michaela Baines has the arc. She has the drama. She has the turmoil. She has the resolution to change. Like, she's the main character. She should have been the main character. But the way that the camera treats her and the way that, the audience and the director and everybody else treats her, like, you don't know. Most people just think of that one shot of her leaning over the car and, being all sexy. But, like, there's a lot...
Yes, that is the only scene I remember.
She has her character has a lot going on in that movie.
Yeah, I remember
just
her
kinda
running
gloss
away
over.
from explosions.
Yeah.
A lot of explosions.
Joe,
Slow-mo, too.
Again,
I was 23 when that movie came out.
that's...
What do you think I noticed? Plot arcs? Nope.
No, not even.
That's what I paid attention to when I was 23.
Sorry.
I got the riff tracks for Ninja Turtles. For the Ninja Turtles movie, and they're like, "This is a Michael Bay film." And I'm like, "All right, okay, this is going fine, not too Michael Bayish." And then you see Megan Fox jumping on a trampoline, like a mini trampoline, like at an exercise
It's like, there it
thing.
is.
Like, they're like, "Oh, there we go. 5 seconds in."
Just a
Fox jumping on a
recommendation for
trampoline.
all of you and us in the future when we're listening, because that's who listens to our podcast. I would recommend getting riff tracks for the Twilight movies.
Oh,
They are awesome. They're so funny.
They were made to be mocked. They were
Lines.
so bad. Yeah. Oh, dang you, Macaulay Culkin. And they build on jokes. You gotta watch. I've seen the first 3, and they build on jokes from the previous riff tracks, the previous movies. So watch them all. And so bad.
Did you ever go to the live events?
No, but
Oh, you
The live events are
should.
pretty
like
fun.
the Fathom event.
Yeah.
thing they do. Yeah,
You
I
should go. We should
because
go. Come with me sometime.
I
go to all of them.
I need to, because they did one recently. I forget what the movie was, but oh man, like I don't know how you can get funny.
do you want to know what the last time I went to the theaters was? To see Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Oh, it's Last Jedi! We can just cut all this fluff out of there, right? We can put this part of the podcast.
It's all staying.
I have to say something though. Megan Fox, people give her a lot of guff, but she has improved significantly since Holiday in the Sun.
She was great in the New Girl.
I
didn't hate her
She's
in
fine.
Ninja Turtles. I hated everything else about Ninja Turtles.
I didn't even bother with
Well,
Ninja Turtles.
I just hated
because
that they
was
didn't
like,
give her
fool me
enough
once with the thing I
opportunity
loved
to,
as a
like,
kid.
show anything. They just like zoomed in really far to focus on how pretty she was without actually giving, her a chance to be anything else. Okay, that's all.
Sorry, do you want to tell us about Superman's abs again?
In the words of Ronda Rousey. I'm just kidding.
So we've gathered tonight to talk about The Last Jedi.
Speaking of abs,
I still wanted to see Emily's video.
Can you put on a cowl or something?
oh, good enough.
Real
I'll
quick,
show it
just
to you
just to review everyone's history with Star Wars. I just was raised on it, and it's terrific. And the height of cinematic glory belongs to Star Wars in my mind, and that has not changed with this movie. It has become even more true in my mind. That's where I'm coming from. I saw. I remember, except for I'm embarrassed to say this. The first time I saw episode 1 and 2, I was like, yeah, all right, cool. And then repeat viewings, I was like, it gets worse and worse and like I put Revenge of the Sith on my DVR. I was like, no, there was some good action and like good space battles and stuff, and I watched it and I was like, ugh, there's so much crap in this movie that I can't enjoy the stuff that it's good. So now it's just become, I enjoy the prequels for the meme fodder that they've given us.
I find myself, when I'm watching Revenge of the Sith, I watch it and then I imagine somebody else saying all of the lines in a different way.
Huh.
And the lines aren't actually that bad. Seriously,
You have to
the
do
same
that
lines
with
in
a
a different
movie.
way. Yeah.
Like the pain, it's so painful to watch the Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman is great. Like you watch Viva for Vendetta and you watch this and you're like, why isn't she? But she's a great. But how come? And she's like, No, I'm in love with you. That's why I look so happy. No, I'm in love with you. And it's Hayden Christensen.
What about Hayden Christensen talking about the sand? I don't like the sand. It's coarse.
Sand.
You know,
So the memes
They'll
from
pay.
the Kenobi,
They'll all pay.
the Kenobi and the General Grievous scene, like the way that the memes have
So
changed that
uncivilized.
is so hilarious that it almost makes it worth it, but not quite. Nathan, what's your history with Star Wars?
First time I ever saw. Thanks, Curtis.
Just wanted to give you some theme.
Did I hear a Candy Crush?
So-
I don't know what that is. Okay.
First time I ever saw Star Wars is I was 4 years old, and we had a Betamax video machine, which was the precursor to VHS and VCRs. So anyway, but it was recorded off of a Sunday night movie, like on ABC or whatever. So it was like chopped up. I even still remember some of the commercials like in between.
Is that part of
Which
your
is
Star
weird.
Wars history? You're like,
So yeah, well, like that's the
old,
first.
old McDonald's jingles are now part of your
Yeah,
Star Wars.
well, like that's the first time I ever saw Star Wars. But I remember falling in love with Star Wars, just seeing it when near the end of the Empire Strikes Back, where Luke and Vader just going at it, and like Vader's like throwing crap at him and stuff. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, you know. So like, yeah. So anyway, then I got into it, and I loved it, and yeah. So, everything.
Esteban.
Watched Star Wars a fair bit when I was a kid. Junior high, I got into the Star Wars customizable card game published by Decipher. Brady and I played that together a few
I was
times.
going to bring that up.
I was going to say, this conversation's familiar from the last,
The last time that we talked
but
Star
still,
Wars.
it's been 2 years or a year, depending on how in depth we got with Rogue One. But
I was very proud of my bounty hunter deck.
Yep. From that, I developed a pretty extensive knowledge of the expanded universe because all of the cards reference the backstories of all of these characters that only appear in like a half-second scene in the
Dr.
original
Evasian.
trilogy. Yep, who just died.
Oh yeah, that actor did.
That actor just died.
Oh yeah.
And so after
Watch
that,
yourself.
around the time that the prequel started coming out, I started to consider Star Wars to be somewhat beneath me. Episode 2 had a lot to do with that. Episode 1 I was actually kind of all on board with because I really liked Darth Maul. I never saw Episode 3 in the theaters. I watched it a couple of times since, and both times I've been like, man, I don't remember anything that happened in this movie. Yeah. So for a long time, between the prequels and the special editions, I got really down on Star Wars, especially after a friend of mine showed me the despecialized editions, which takes out all of the stuff that the special editions had, and
Great.
it's
Great way to watch
significantly better.
it. Yeah.
There are some changes that I don't know if I could criticize, but yeah, it is
Like,
significantly.
yeah, as a whole, I far and away prefer the theatrical versions, and so I kind of got into this attitude of, well, until we can get access to the theatrical editions again, I'm done with Star Wars. But then the whole Disney acquisition happened. I saw Force Awakens. Marvel started putting out Star Wars comics. I watched Star Wars Rebels. It became cool to like Star Wars again. It's like, okay, the water's safe. I'm getting back in. So yeah, I'll 100% own up to the fact that I'm a fair weather Star Wars fan.
Fair. But as long as you know.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm not legit.
You did okay, but you have read expanded universe stuff. I've read.
I've read a
4
few
books.
I
so-
do not recommend the expanded universe, guys. It is hot garbage.
That's pretty bad.
Chris Sims, who does a podcast, War Rocket Ajax, he's a comics journalist, talks about the expanded universe, and he talks about it and says, if you ever wanted to know the origin of Han Solo's pants, go to the expanded universe. It's called the Corellian Blood Stripe. Look it up. Wow. Yeah, the expanded universe, I'm not a fan of the expanded universe. I'm a big fan of Star Wars in theory. I love a lot of the execution. Even the prequels do have their moments, even though they're overall pretty bad.
They're still Star Wars.
They are still Star
That's
Wars.
what I can't like completely shut them out. We went. With
I
some-
can completely shut out a large chunk of it. But
Oh
even,
yeah,
But even then, because of the prequels, we have all of these things with Darth Vader. If you don't read any other like Star Wars related stuff, read the Darth Vader solo series that
Yes.
just came out a couple years ago from
So
Marvel,
cool.
because it does a lot of interesting things, bridging the sort of like whiny, love-struck Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, with the hardcore Death Reaper of the Galaxy Darth Vader that we
Like in
get
Rogue
in
One.
Episode 4 and Rogue One. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff, and because of the prequels, we wind up with a character who is actually pretty fascinating. So I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, fair weather Star Wars fan. But I think that's the best summation.
Emily.
So, I'd never watched Star Wars as a child. I might have seen Star Wars, like, I don't know. I might have seen, like, 5 minutes of episode 1, like, because my brother was watching it or something. I didn't care. I wasn't a Star Wars person. I went to college, and... Shut up.
Her husband shakes his head.
I went to
Was
college.
that I got her now?
I got her now.
I went to college, and there was this guy that I was in college with who was a really big Star Wars person. He's like, we're having a movie night in my trailer, you should come. And so we were watching episode 1. I wasn't paying attention because I was on the prowl, you know.
Yeah.
Heyo.
Ew. And so I didn't really watch it even then. I did not watch a full Star Wars movie until Curtis and I started dating. And then we watched them all. And then we watched Force Awakens, which is my favorite. And then we watched Rogue One. And then we watched Last Jedi. And here we are.
I also showed them to her in the correct order. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I had a roommate who told me that is the wrong way to show somebody Star Wars. I cannot believe how wrong that person
what?
was.
Did he say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yeah. He's like, that's why they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, it's 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Machete order.
Sure.
4, 5.
Well, except for cut out
4,
1,
5. Yeah. 2, 3,
6.
6.
Sounds like the
7. Rogue One.
sounds like the locker on my luggage.
Oh, that's the combination an idiot would have on his luggage. Quick, change my luggage. Change my combination.
Spaceballs joke, which
I
relates to
I
Star
did
Wars,
get
sorry,
a Mel Brooks box set for Christmas. Dude is funny. I don't know if you guys have seen History of the World Part 1.
It's
but-
awesome.
Oh my gosh. It's such a good
So-
one. Sorry, was that a fist pound? Or was that just like a fist of agreement? Okay, I didn't want
Yeah,
to leave you
no, I
hanging.
love it.
Okay, I didn't want to leave you hanging if that was a fist. Okay, so Curtis.
I was the lucky one out of this group here, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. So the original 3 came up before I was born, obviously. And they were meant to be this sci-fi drama, this sci-fi fantasy, this epic, right? The next 3 movies were kids' movies. And I think we look at them through the goggles of sci-fi, or we look through them through the goggles of serious movies, and they weren't. They were kids' movies with too much violence for kids. Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I was a child.
She was a child.
I was.
Kingdom by the Sea.
I was 8 years old. I was 8.
Love. More than love.
I am the lucky one because I was 8 years old when I first saw Phantom Menace, and it blew my mind.
Well, pod racing for an 8-year-old?
It blew my mind. I
Did
was
you
the
say
same
wizard?
age.
Did you say wizard? This is wizard.
No, unfortunately. I loved it.
We don't have to kill.
I watched, and so I was a child, and I got to watch the kids' movies. I have never not liked the prequels. I like them. Do I think that they're very good? Again, through the goggles of like serious movies, of course not. They happen to have the greatest movie score of all time. The 3 of them. I say second to none for Revenge of the Sith. Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings suite is very good. And it's a very, very close fight, but I think Revenge of the Sith has the greatest movie soundtrack ever. John Williams narrates my life, and Emily knows this. So, it does.
He must be rolling in his grave.
But that's my
He's just...
he's still with us.
Simpsons joke.
Oh.
Could that bassoon have come in any more late?
Anyway, and and so I was the lucky one. Anyway, Force Awakens was probably my favorite ever, though. It really is. I love everything about that movie. I have very little bad to say about that, and I liked Rogue One a lot. And we'll tell you what I think of Last Jedi in a moment.
My tummy hurts for some reason. Brady?
I like Star Wars.
Did you play cards as a kid?
I played the card game. I played Shadows of the Empire on my Nintendo 64.
It was a good game.
It was actually a very, very bad
I
game.
still love
That was a very
Rogue
bad game with a really
Squadron.
pretty
Fun.
fun first level.
Yeah.
The first level was pretty fun.
On the 64 was a great game.
So was Pod Racer.
Hashtag
Pod
Wampa
Racer
Stompa.
actually was a pretty decent
Really
game.
good game.
I wouldn't go really good, but
I
pretty
love
decent.
that
It
game.
was-
I was a lot younger than you guys. Shut up.
Pod Racer,
Well, yeah.
Pod Racer being better than the movie is like you know, Will Smith's Wild Wild West song making more money than the movie.
See, I think that I
I'm just gonna
love.
keep slinging pop culture stuff with everything. See what sticks and gets her off track singing a song.
I will never disappoint
See,
you.
I think I love Shadows of the Empire because, you know, based on my cards that I had for my Star Wars game, I was obsessed with all the bounty hunters. And there's a part of that game when you fight IG-88.
Yep. And Brady had that card.
I did. I had all the bounty hunters and all their ships.
That's the robotic bounty hunter that briefly featured in Empire Strikes Back.
Very briefly.
Very briefly.
Yeah.
That's the test. It's like, because it's such a deep rabbit hole. How nerdy are you? Do you know who?
Do you know Bosk?
Yeah. Is he the lizard one?
Yes.
Yes, he's the lizard.
And then there's
His feet.
Forlom, is the kind of like half cybernetic weird.
So you said
Yeah,
Forlom.
Forlom.
I heard
Yeah.
Fortran in my head, and I was like, yeah, nerds.
Gosh.
Salacious Crumb.
Salacious
Yeah.
Crumb is anyway.
Anyway, but yeah. So I ate up anything Star Wars related that I possibly could. Then Episode 1 came out. I'm like, okay, that was a movie.
Kids movie.
Episode 2, I was actually very excited about, and it is the one and only time that I sloughed school was to see that movie, and I feel so bad that I use my slough for that.
Of all the things.
It's a Utah one. I also skipped school, ditched school, skipped school.
Skived. Skiving.
I remember enjoying it and resisting the urge to turn on a lightsaber during the showing when Yoda showed up.
Okay, say what you want about that. It's funny.
It
Yoda
was-
lightsaber fighting is super funny.
Yeah.
It's
Especially
not
with
good,
Frank Oz noises.
but it's super funny.
But anyway, and so after that, you know, I was a little bit off of the hype train. I still would, you know, love everything in little bits and pieces, but not really have the full love around it until Force Awakens. And I love Force Awakens so much.
Chris and I had this moment when we were like this. Had avoided all trailers for that one and this one, like the plague. Just like I would go to the theater, and if a trailer came on, I would just pull my hood down like this, and I would plug my ears and be like, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to know anything, and like I try to do everything I could, like run out of the room if a trailer popped up on TV. And I think that the system works because I didn't know what to expect, and I was worried up until the crawl started of episode 7, and then I you know, growing up there was always this, well, you know, there are stories for like 7, 8, 9, so eventually we'll get like 7, 8, 9. It's like that'd be nice, maybe someday, probably not. And I got to see episode 7 on the screen, and from the first line it had me, Luke Skywalker has vanished, and I was like, whoa.
Well, and what a way to start a crawl.
Yeah.
You can go back to our episode 7.
For more. But now we're going to talk about The Last Jedi. I have a couple of questions for everybody. What were your expectations going in to see episode 8? And what were you looking forward to seeing on the screen? I had no expectations, and I will attest that the system worked. I was interested to see about Rey's training. I was hoping that we would get parallel Rey learning more about the light side and Kylo Ren learning more about the dark side. I was hoping that Poe would be more prominent, hoping that Finn would survive, and, you know, because he got, like, sliced, like, filleted up his spine, so that was pretty scary. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, and I think that, you know, going in with no expectations, that helped. And I wasn't concerned about where Snoke came from or who Rey's parents were.
Good thing.
And so, I think a lot of because it's a divisive movie. People either really, really love it, me, or don't.
Or are Curtis and are wrong.
Yeah.
No, man, you wait.
So let's just focus on your expectations going in and what you wanted to see.
My only expectation that I had was, I guess there are these porg things now.
Yeah, I couldn't avoid that because the toys were popping up and like.
And porgs are adorable.
Sad porg is sad.
Chewie's like.
I bet they were tasty too.
Yeah.
The
They
reason
look
why
tasty.
they had to make well, they didn't have to, but they did, and like it's a good solution. They couldn't get rid of the puffins on the island. They were everywhere. There was no avoiding them, so they CG'd them and made them into little porgs. And I don't know, one of them in the cockpit screaming at the top of its lungs with Chewie is pretty fun, I think. And I was worried that they would be like Ewok level of part of the story, and they weren't. So
Yep, yep.
Are you talking about blinking Ewoks or not blinking Ewoks?
Oh, jeez, don't even, dude, man.
That's a conversation for another time.
That's why I haven't bought the Blu-ray of all 6 movies because they keep screwing with them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Disney bought them.
Well,
No more screwing with them.
I think outside of porgs being in it, I really tried to come in with a blank slate because there are all of these theories out there, and I'm like, I don't care about any of that. Just let them show me what they got.
There's huge chunks. Show me what you got. Huge chunks of Reddit just get swiped clean with finding out backstory and stuff. Let's go around this way then, Curtis. Let's hear it.
Okay, well, my expectations were very
going
high
in?
after Force Awakens, and it did not live up to them.
Okay, all right. What were you most looking forward to seeing?
Most looking forward to seeing. I did want to see more of Rey. So first of all, I love all of the new characters that were in Force Awakens.
That is correct.
And those characters continuing on in this movie were excellent. All of them. I loved Finn's story in this, even though it was... Okay, I don't know if I can start talking about the bad stuff yet. But
I'm sorry, in my notes I didn't leave room for bad stuff.
Yeah, Poe is better.
Dang, let me check.
It's
not here.
So let me just say that my overall impression of the movie, just really quick then, is that all the Star Warsy bits were really good.
Oh, wow.
There was too much of this movie that wasn't Star Warsy. And in the fact that everybody's like, oh, it's too different. That's not what I mean. I mean, the whole casino scene, you don't even need it. The whole scene. And it's too long. It takes you too far out of the story. They happen to go into that one cell where they happen to meet that one guy who can crack the code. It's awful.
We'll get into this.
Awful. Terrible. Okay. So, anyway, go ahead. Sorry. I did not hate this movie. I didn't hate it. I liked it better than a lot of the movies, but I was, unfortunately, my overall impression was that it was a Attack of the Clones and not an Empire Strikes
I liked it better than Biodome.
I
liked it better than Waterboy.
I like going. Hey, Waterboy holds up, man.
Sure. Go ahead. Sorry, what was the questions?
Expectations going in.
I didn't really have any expectations, just because I didn't really set any. What was I looking forward to? I was looking forward to #, more Kylo Ren, and that's what I got.
Emily is super hipster too, because she was saying it. She's been saying it for 2 years.
I've had a crush on Adam Driver for a long time.
Yes.
Like before Star Wars, okay? Before he became Kylo Ren. And then suddenly he gets, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie, if you haven't seen it, go away. He gets shirtless, and all the girls get in a tizzy. They're like, Adam Driver's actually really cute. I'm actually...
Except for his pants are like up to his nipples.
Yeah, they are.
Brady, don't come between a woman and her nipple pants.
The point is, everybody's all up in a tizzy now, and it's like, okay, you can't call yourselves real fangirls.
She's Kylo.
Welcome them to the party. Don't gatekeep
I
on
don't
loving.
want to share.
You should have seen the look of malice on Emily's face.
Fire! Jump out!
I'm a hater.
So can I just say this is the 5th time in this podcast you've talked about another dude. Husband is right here.
You should be here for the times when you're not here.
Yes.
I'll be the 3rd.
Sorry, go ahead.
What
She
if those
mentions
times
you
was going to
sometimes,
go?
but dude, I mean, step up your game. I
I
don't know.
know,
Hire
maybe
flowers on the way home or
Kylo
something, man.
Ren.
And
Or a
what's-
Kylo Ren cutout, I guess.
Sure.
Well, what's funny about
Or both.
all of the Adam Driver things is like, if you were looking to see him shirtless, watch an episode of Girls, which you shouldn't watch because it's really dumb and everybody makes problems for themselves.
It's
I hate
actually
that show.
pretty bad.
But he's shirtless 90% of every single episode. I'm just saying.
Maybe his pants are so high is because he was like brought up to be a man by Snoke, who's an old man. He's like, you have to hike,
Wear your pants like
you have
this.
to hike your pants way up.
That seems legit to me.
We go to dinner at 3 and we're in bed by 5.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Sounds like St. George.
That's because they have to hide from the sun.
That's the end of my spiel.
No, I don't want to cut you off. I'd like you to continue on.
Oh no, that was the end of my expectations of what I was looking forward to.
Steven?
So I knew I was going to see Star Wars at some point, but I had no concrete plans. Therefore, I came to it late. After a lot of the reviews started coming out, after a lot of the criticism started surfacing, and the minute I heard how divisive the film was, I just sat back and said, I'm going to love this movie.
Oh, good.
This movie is going to be amazing. And I love this movie. But yeah, like I've gotten to the point where, like John, I try to avoid trailers. I draw the line at seeing the trailer in the theater. Like if I'm at the theater watching a movie, I will sit through the trailers. I'm not going to leave or anything like that. So I saw the trailers in all of the movies, all the Marvel movies that I saw this summer. So my hype was relatively low. I was just excited for
Adam Driver with his shirt off.
I was so
Nipple Pants.
yeah, especially when I started hearing some of like, if you've been online on the Twitter, on the Facebook, whatever, you've probably seen some of Mark Hamill's comments.
Yeah.
And finding out that Mark Hamill was concerned about the portrayal of Luke Skywalker made me go, oh well, I am on board for this, because my opinion of Mark Hamill for the longest time is that he's not actually a very good actor. He's a brilliant voice actor.
For sure.
And I think we'll talk more about Mark Hamill as we get into it, but this is my favorite Mark Hamill role.
Mine's
Yeah.
too.
Luke in this
Incredible.
movie.
It's not.
Even better than Return of the Jedi, and Return of the Jedi is the best Luke.
Easily,
Second,
yeah. No.
Second to this one, though.
No, I agree with that. So
You know, okay.
my
That used to be-
expectations, I like didn't
I'd
really
have to
know
think
what to
about it.
expect from a storyline perspective. Didn't really know what to expect from, like really anything other than I just really wanted to like it so that I could be very contrary with all these people. And as it turns out, I actually genuinely liked it. I've got some nitpicks, and like I saw it with my girlfriend, and she complained about it being too long. And I think I agree with Curtis that the thing that felt the fattiest, like the least necessary,
Captivate.
was the casino bit.
The whole thing.
I liked it and I felt it was valuable, but it definitely felt like a very long movie.
It's valuable for the last question where we're going from here. But sorry.
Anyway, that's my expectations going in.
Yep.
I had watched the trailers. I didn't avoid the trailers. I was actually excited. I was like, oh man, there's a new trailer dropping.
I was very excited for this movie, like to the point of like forgetting about life outside of this film. So that's not why I avoided the
Right. But I love The Force Awakens so much. I was just so excited to see more of the characters because the new characters are awesome.
Yes.
You know, and it's great to see that. You know, people are like, "Oh, it's a Skywalker story," and now they're like going off on little new characters that are awesome that aren't Skywalkers. And I think that's really cool. But I just wanted more Star Wars, and I wanted to see stuff blow up, and I wanted to see. Yeah, I had heard that Mark Hamill was awesome even before. I mean, like months before the movie came out. It's like, oh, I just can't wait to see it. So that was my expectations.
I had high hopes. I already said.
High hopes.
He's got high hopes. Does anyone else ever think of that scene in a Goofy movie where they're at the car, just Goofy, high hopes. That's 100% of the time when someone sings that song, that scene just plays through my head.
You don't even have to try for the tangents anymore.
Nope. I have to record it sometime, but the cutest thing is my daughter going, Goofy, Goofy. Yeah, what does Goofy say? Gorsh.
What's your favorite Disney character?
No, it's Mickey or Pooh.
Dumb children
She was
don't know
afraid of
things.
her. She was afraid of her little Goofy doll for a while. I have no idea why.
so horrible.
But I would say like she'd say Goofy, Goofy, and I'd say ho 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 ho, and she'd go no. And now she's back to saying Gorsh.
Gorsh.
So earlier this week, my 2-year-old comes up to me without a diaper on because she's holding it in her hands.
Naturally.
And there's Mickey and Minnie on the diaper, and she goes, "Look, Dad, Minnie, Mickey."
That's
Yep.
very observant.
It's like
Yep.
Did you notice you're naked from the waist down?
Adam Driver wasn't.
He wasn't naked from the waist down.
Naked, nipples up.
I'm never gonna forget Nipple Pants
Hike
now.
your, hike your
Nipple
pants.
pants.
Hike your pants higher.
I want that as an alert on my Kindle or on my phone. I got a text. Nipple pants. Oh, it's Brady.
So Star Wars is a thing that we were talking
Yep.
about.
Sure.
Sorry.
Let's talk about then favorite moment and problems. Both. I want to hear both from everybody. And I'm going to go last because I have to think about this because I loved a lot of it. And
All right, so can we get into the casino thing?
yeah,
soon?
let's do it.
Because
Curtis is
is
physically
this
restraining himself from
this
talking.
is obviously Curtis's biggest issue,
And I will
and I
agree
want
that,
to and I want to talk about
Yeah.
why it's not as much of a problem for me.
Okay.
And that's, in the Star Wars universe, everything feels so laser focused on just our heroes and what's happening to them, and you don't get a broader picture. And the reason why I actually appreciated this scene is because it did give you a little bit of that broader picture, but it also is that reminder, kind of like, in the first Iron Man, that yes, these people are awful because they're giving weapons to the Empire, but guess what? We're getting them too. So
Yeah.
and it just shows that gray area of how awful war is and how people profit from that. And I think that is why I actually did enjoy most of the scene. I didn't like the whole stampede. I thought that was ridiculous and dumb, and
That was the part I liked.
But they're so cute. They're
but I think that planet in general was great. I hated Benicio del Toro.
Oh my god.
This is perfect.
Oh my god.
Hated Benicio del Toro.
Why was he in the cell if he had codes to get out of the cell?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, and I've heard people talk about this like, well, he was a plant.
How would they know where to go?
I don't.
He was a thief who got caught and looking for an opportunity.
Who has
to
a
escape at the
weird
opportune moment.
a weird stutter because Benicio del Toro has to have weird vocal quirks in anything that he plays in a major blockbuster film.
Didn't bother me. I was okay with it.
Yeah,
I will agree
hated
that like it
Benicio
did
del
go on a
Toro.
little long, but like you don't know that it's not going to succeed going in. The plan was a good one, and they got betrayed at the last minute. And if you look the argument, Indiana Jones is unnecessary to the plot of Raiders when you get down to it, right? Like, everything would have happened just the same as it did if he was there or not. He saves Marion, so that's one argument in his favor. But, like, the fact that nothing that they did ultimately mattered, I don't think that's enough for it not to be in there. Maybe it's a little long. Maybe it feels like it's something completely different. But, like, I love Finn and I love Rose. Rose is great. And so getting moments with them, it was worth it to me. Like,
It did matter because it helped spark the rebellion, even if it is just with this little group of kids on the planet.
that
And-
last shot with that kid.
Exactly.
Oh, can we talk about favorite things?
Yeah, we're gonna get around. We're gonna talk to Curtis about Captivite. Let's hear it.
You could seriously watch this movie. You get to the point where they're like, "Oh, let's park our speeder poorly," and then we're in this ship. We don't know where we got to. Oh, it's not really your ship. It would have been totally fine. 100% of it was not necessary. 100% of it, and it was part of the worst character added to the new movie, Rose.
Get
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. What's her job? Where's she from? Doesn't really. She is the only person who knows about live tracking. In one of the 3 ships, they could have shot the other 2 ships at light speed at the other ship, but they never thought about that. And these ships don't have autopilot. Okay, let's continue. This person can't act.
What?
This person can't act. This person doesn't have a clear job. She's shocking people, but she's also a mechanic whose sister happens to be a bomber. She's
a mechanic.
vague.
You just said her
She's
job.
vague.
Yeah.
She's a mechanic.
She's-
Assistant.
Who
cares where stuff comes from? Who
She is
cares?
not drawn out very well, and she has acted worse. She is the worst performance in the whole movie.
Oh,
That
no.
line,
Did you watch Laura Dern, man? Like-
yeah, Laura Dern was close second.
I hate both of you right
all
now.
of the,
Oh my
all
gosh.
of the new characters that were added in this movie
Her
were
last 2
awful.
scenes redeem her. But
Every single one that was added in this movie. The new BB unit was not good. I don't know why there's a Lego
there was
thing.
there was a scene with the new
Yeah,
BB.
yeah, that's fine. So you have Benicio del Toro, who's awful, just
I don't mind
awful.
him.
Laura Dern, who was awful.
I just don't like
disagree.
her in general,
Rose was
so
awful.
I can throw that out.
The
because that's just
caretakers,
me.
the caretakers in the Porgs were awful.
Who cares?
The
about them?
big,
They're not-
it's awful,
Anyway.
awful.
You don't like Rose?
Awful.
Curtis, I have never
Rose.
been more mad at you
I
in
don't
my
like
entire
Rose.
life.
Rose was the worst part of the movie.
Okay, I would just like
she-
to bring up that Curtis likes Batman v Superman. So, so
I'm
take
serious.
things.
I am serious. If you are going to have a love
It's
interest,
not a grain of salt. That's one of those big.
if you're going to have a love interest for Finn, if you're going to have a love interest for Finn, pick an actor who can act.
she
Period.
can't.
No, the best line of the whole movie, she ruins. She does a Hayden Christensen. It's not about killing those we hate.
She's
it's about
dying,
saving
man.
those we love. Kiss you with no sexual attention the whole movie, but I'm gonna kiss you and then I'm gonna die. It's awful. She's the worst.
Oh,
She is the worst.
Oh.
What was your
She's-
favorite part?
My favorite part of the whole movie, oh my god, was when Snoke is betrayed by Kylo. Kylo finishes him off, and then Kylo goes back to back with Rey, and they fight those dudes, and then he turns on her in a little bit, and he says, "Now join me." Incredible. I loved it. And I loved.
nobody, but not
Let me tell you that I loved like 90% of this movie. I really did.
Except
Floating
for the
Leia.
important 5%.
Floating Leia.
Floating Leia bugged
Floating
me.
Leia bugged me. The casino bit, the entire casino bit bugged me. And then I think Benicio del Toro is important, but he wasn't good. Rose is neither. So she's not important nor good.
So mad at you.
Anyway,
So mad.
she's not important nor good. She could have been, and she was not a good actress, and it bothered me the whole movie.
So
Every
mad at
line she
you.
says- I saw it twice, and every line she says is worse than the last line she said. Every single one.
Brady, I
Oh,
can-
it's live active tracking.
Can I flip this?
No. But my Switch is on top of the table. You
Yes.
can
Oh,
use the
okay.
table.
Okay. Can you grab your switch?
I knew it was gonna happen. Seriously, I loved like 90% of that movie.
Emily.
I liked, well, obviously.
Nipple pants.
So, here's the thing.
Curtis,
here's
the way
thing.
that you get your wife back on the Curtis train.
It's true.
You gotta go on your way home. I don't know what's between here and home, but
Nipple pants
Here's the thing.
and goofy.
Here's what you do: pregnancy pants, because they're already set
Yeah.
to have that little bit of an extension.
Yeah, dude.
Because regular pants you can't hike all the way up, but pregnancy pants have like a whole extra panel that like
Yeah.
you can like yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean there are a bunch of malls between here and there. Also, you can get the soundtrack. What's the name of the band in Goofy movie?
Powerline?
Powerline.
Yes.
The Powerline album.
Yeah.
You just play that in the car. Make out music.
There you go.
That is not
Eye
makeup.
to eye, baby. Eye to
That's
eye,
nothing
baby.
Start to
about
finish.
me.
I've seen an extremely goofy movie though, and it was really good.
Okay. Back to. I have a. Here's the thing about the shirtless scene, okay? The thing. No. It's no. It was unnecessary. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Like Rose.
Like the director of the movie or somebody.
Your turn is over.
The director of the movie or somebody was like, no, it makes sense because that way we know for sure that she can see him. And it's like, I think we get it.
He was doing the weight room bit from Tommy Boy. Hey, can we talk right now? Go to the weight room. Put on a shirt. No, I'm
So
No, I'll just hike up another.
Nipple Pants.
my actual
Nipple
favorite scene is not that one. Oh shoot! Oh, got it. Never mind. I'm playing with my Legos while we're talking about this. My actual favorite scene, I think. I don't know if I have a favorite for real, but if I had to pick one, it's the one where it's like raining outside and she's on the island with Luke and she's talking to Kylo Ren and like she reaches out her hand and their hands touch and then Luke walks in and we see Kylo Ren there, but he's not really there because it's all Force stuff. He like loses his mind. I thought that was cool. As far as problems with this movie, I mean,
Please back me up.
Come on. You had to see it with Curtis.
hey, I
just like Rose, man. Come on.
I don't like her. Not for any particular reason. I'm just not feeling her. And also, if anyone's gonna be on those luscious black lips, why I gotta
Number
be her?
6.
So there's the envy portion there, sure. Curtis, I am so in love with you. I would kill all of these men.
It's
before you...
Okay, let's move on before that happens.
Before that happens.
Emily proved her love on Friday night, and 4 were killed in that game.
I thought, obviously, Force flying Leia was stupid. I don't think anybody on the face of this planet enjoyed that.
No.
It was
Or
really-
I thought that would have been a
Good, but-
great moment for her to have died because it shows that Kylo Ren, even though he decided, no, I'm not going to do it, but it was that moment of it doesn't matter, it's happening anyway.
Yeah. I thought that I was like, wow, that's pretty handy, and then she Superman's back in, and it's like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
And
That was weird.
what was I gonna say? I didn't really know why Laura Dern had to have purple hair, but I mean,
Because it's a Star Wars. Like,
nobody else has purple hair.
why did Luke drink blue milk? For crying out loud. We're gonna start
It's in A New Hope.
It's in
You
A New
remember the
Hope. It's a callback.
Cinnabons that Leia used to wear?
Yeah. That's one thing.
Why?
That's one thing. She never had purple hair. I just didn't like if there were.
I would like to bring up the fact that
I don't
have
like the purple hair either.
I
I'm
have
not a-
2 people on my team at work who have
I'm
had
not
purple
saying,
hair.
Whoa! You're totally misunderstanding what I'm saying. Purple hair is great. It seemed out of place.
What, because he's a leader?
For an
You think that
admiral?
my friends with purple hair can't be leaders?
Oh my goodness, Brady. That needs to get dropped straight away. You do not put words in my mouth.
He is an admiral. Just saying.
I didn't think. I think it could have been purple hair, but it didn't look good.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I don't know enough about hair and product to describe my problems with it. But
I don't think I had really any other problems with it.
Every time that I saw Laura Dern, all I could do was picture her beside a giant pile of dinosaur dung.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was watching the movie, and person sitting next to me leans over and is like, Jurassic Park. I'm like, oh, that's why I
Emily
recognize
is the
her.
same. Emily's
I
like,
couldn't-
she's the mom from Fault in Our Stars.
So I remember Laura Dern
not
from
figure
everything
out.
except Jurassic Park. I did not make the connection to Jurassic Park until like a week ago when
'Cause
Curtis and I saw it.
it's
Well,
just so embedded into your DNA, your Mr. DNA, that you can't.
it just didn't, I don't know. I don't know why I never noticed it.
My first go-to was this episode where she plays the poet laureate on West Wing, and she's terrible.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's like it's just stupid. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of hers, but it worked because I was like, ugh, I don't really like her, and you're not supposed to like her character until your last 2 scenes redeem her, and it's like, okay, cool.
Right.
Because
And
the
one of
ships
the
don't have autopilot.
the
They
biggest
didn't shoot the other 2 ships
jaw-dropping
at the-
moments in the movie, and both times I saw it, people were like, was when she made the jump to hyperspace and took out the fleet. It was
Yeah, so
man.
cool.
I don't know why they didn't do that with the other 2 ships.
incredible.
Because no one was willing to do it.
Because the ships don't have autopilot.
I can't
Man.
imagine that autopilot is something that you want to have on when you are actually trying to evade blaster fire. Like, seriously?
They let
that's-
the droid drive the ATST, so...
He
like-
did that himself. Nobody let him do that.
That's true.
That actually probably brings me to one of my 2 main complaints.
Mm-hmm.
BB-8's getting a really bad case of R2-D2 prequel syndrome, where he
Yep.
can just do anything and everything, and that kind of
Coin
bugs me.
shooter.
But that's a nitpick. My main complaint Okay, I've got 3 main complaints.
Here we go.
The BB-8 thing,
Welcome
the
back,
Leia
Steven.
thing, and the other one is like, when I watched The Force Awakens, I was under the impression that the Republic existed and the First Order was on just like the outer worlds, and so Leia was with the Resistance in the Outer Rim in order to fight off the First Order, but the Republic was still strong back in the Central Worlds. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Now it's like the First Order is everywhere and everything.
It says
and
the First Order reigns. And that's a bit of a jump, especially when this movie literally picks up where the last one dropped off.
Yeah.
I agree. Here's my only
Except for
thing-
they blew up all the planets.
They blew up the main power and the Republic fleet and the main Republic planets in wherever they are.
Yeah.
In Force Awakens.
And so now it's, okay, well, who's left now that fleet is gone? It's the First Order and the Resistance. So, and he calls somebody rebel scum. Somebody calls somebody rebel scum, and it's like, okay, look, like if we're gonna be the Resistance, call them a Resistance. If they're gonna be the rebellion, call them a rebellion. But like, I think they should have just like, I don't know what they could have done, but it's a blurry line.
It is. It is. There's that. There's like. The thing that bugs me the most about the Leia scene where she's floating in space and like she pulls herself back in is not how bad it looks necessarily, but just The Force Awakens established that Leia wasn't much of a Force user. Like after the Return of the Jedi, she went into politics. She did not go into Jedi stuff. She did not go into Force stuff. How can she do that? It feels like Leia's Force abilities are very ill-defined and plot convenient, and they were frustrating. Things that I loved, though, I'm gonna just throw out 3 lines. First, this is how we win, not by fighting what we hate, but by saving what we love.
The sand is so coarse there.
Second is shut up, Curtis. No, the second line is we are what they outgrow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It's yeah, okay. Sorry. I loved it.
Oh my gosh.
Because the Jedi way of doing that and the Sith way of doing that are totally different. And Kylo completes the Sith way and Rey completes the Jedi way. Anyway, go ahead, continue.
Oh, and I'm ruining my dramatic build because I forgot
Sorry.
the third line. Oh,
You want me to go to your
hope it's-
Facebook
I
status
just hope
where
it's
you...
not mine.
what's yours?
Well, it's not my
Say
turn
it.
yet.
Say it. Say it.
See you around, kid.
Nope, it's not that one.
That gives me
Oh,
chills.
but it is one of Luke's lines in that
Go,
scene.
go.
It's the line, "Strike me down in anger, and I will always be with you, just like your father."
Oh.
Those 3 lines. Oh, so we'll get into this, but I just want to say after those 3 lines, The Force Awakens is my favorite Star Wars movie of the new bunch. Potentially my second favorite Star Wars movie of all of them. I really liked it, guys.
You mean Last Jedi?
You said Force Awakens.
That one, the one we're talking about, The
Okay,
Last Jedi.
I was like, so
Last
this movie
Jedi.
made the last one better?
Last Jedi might be my favorite of the Star Wars movies, other than possibly Return of the Jedi.
So I just realized that I never actually said a favorite moment.
Oh,
I was gonna say
So
my favorite moment.
my favorite moment was when after Kylo goes crazy trying to kill Luke with all the firepower, and then Luke just where Luke just brushes
some
off
people
of
have problems with that. I think I stood up,
brushes
wept,
off
and
of his-
cheered. I can't remember.
off his shoulder. It's just was like an oh my gosh, and
Yeah,
of course things aren't what they seem, but just that moment was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nathan, it's finally your turn.
Oh, okay. I had two favorite things that are equal. I was really hoping that they would bring somebody back from the original trilogy, and when I saw Yoda, I cried. I cried.
Especially
I was
since he
so
was
glad
Puppet
because
Yoda.
if he wasn't in the movie, and he was Puppet Yoda, if he wasn't in the movie, everyone would say, well, how come Yoda didn't show up and teach stuff, you know? And he did, and
It got Luke back. Well, he got Luke back thinking about it, and then R2D2 is showing Princess Leia
That
that
part made
recording.
me-
He's like, oh, that was a dirty move.
yeah.
that part made me like weep for real that Carrie Fisher's gone. Like that moment touched me in
Yeah.
the movie theaters, and it was weird. Anyway, go
But
ahead.
I seeing Yoda again just blew my mind. I had no idea that we would see Yoda again. My other favorite part's the very beginning when Poe turns off his communicators from Princess Leia and does a U-turn, like facing him. It's like, I'd like to talk to General Hex.
Yeah.
I'm still holding first.
What?
I thought he was saying hugs.
He was saying
Was he?
hugs.
Okay.
He was actually saying hugs.
hugs.
I have an important message from Princess Leia about his mother.
I love the moment. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I believe he's too.
I love that. That's the way both of these movies have begun, with like Poe Dameron just setting the tone and letting you know this
he's
is
the
going to be
best.
good, but it's not quite going to be the Star Wars you're used to.
Yeah.
Who talks first? You talk
But
first?
with him doing that, and then taking out that giant spaceship when he's going blowing up all the cannons and stuff, like that was one of the most exciting like beginnings to a Star Wars movie I think I've seen. It was so cool.
Agree.
Can I tell you one of
So
my other
cool.
favorite parts of this whole thing? And I might get a little bit of hate for this, but one of my favorite parts of this whole movie was the fact that this was basically a movie about telling off Poe Dameron. Like, almost everything that goes wrong with the Resistance fleet is Poe's fault. This movie was the deconstruction of Han Solo, and it was great, and I loved it. I relished it. It made me so happy.
It's like, maybe we don't tell you things because you don't need to know.
Maybe we don't tell you
Stop doing stuff.
We don't tell you things because we can't trust you, because when we gave you direct orders, you didn't follow them, and you got
Exactly.
a bunch of people killed. So, Poe, sit down, let the women do their jobs.
See, I think that's why
Curtis
I like.
is making a face.
I think that's why I like Holdo so much more than most people do. Is,
Oh yeah, me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Like I actually will go to bat for that character. I mean, maybe the acting isn't the best, but have you seen episode 4?
Oh,
Yeah.
I wanted to go to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters.
That's my favorite look like. I was
Episode
gonna go to
4.
Tashi Station and pick up some power converters.
Episode 4 has exactly one good actor, and he did not want to be there.
and that's Alec Guinness.
Which
Billy's
will name a
the
target, military target, and then name the system.
Okay, fine, 2 good actors.
I grow tired of asking this.
Yeah, this just brings up a conversation that I had with John after we had both seen the movie, where we were talking about A New Hope, and we're like, it's not the best.
I kind of love it.
It's
I don't know if I admitted that. I would. I am. It's too. I can't think about it critically.
yeah,
I can't think about
yeah.
it.
It's
Yes.
It was
Yes.
actually-
It's
hard
like,
to
there
Well,
are lots of problems.
I'll put it this way: you can tell the cheesiness of George Lucas that's all over in the prequels is there in A New Hope. Like all the bad things about the prequels are actually there in the DNA of A New Hope, and they weren't there for Empire. And I think, but anyway,
I have to say, though, part of my Star Wars reclamation was actually somebody sitting me down and making me watch A New Hope again and listening to Alec Guinness deliver Ben Kenobi's lines. And, like, that was the thing more than just about anything else that got me back into Star Wars after being embarrassed by it for so long.
That's why. Oh man, like the crap in the prequels with the midichlorians.
Yeah.
One excellently delivered line from Alec Guinness has been Kenobi. Just the Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field that surrounds us, binds us, penetrates us.
You know you got to speak up in order for the microphone to pick
the
you up.
microphone's over there.
Alec Guinness is wonderful, and the prequels are not.
Welcome to NPR.
Go watch Bridge Over the River Kwai. Skip like the middle hour, and you'll still get just.
I still didn't get to talk about what I didn't like about it.
Keep interrupting poor Nathan. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, Princess Leia going into space and Superman back into the thing was kind of weird.
I think it's that.
I thought it was interesting though that like when the last time we saw Finn in Force Awakens, when he's like you said, he's like filleted, you know, and then it's like at the very beginning of the movie, he like wakes up and he jumps out and he's in his water suit and there's like water. It's like
Finn, naked water suit?
he's like
You got a bad connection, buddy.
no, but like it's. Where did he have the time to heal? Because like it picked right up right
They're in a
after.
spaceship.
I think
They reattached
I think that
Luke's
it's
hand.
I think that
Luke's
it's
hand.
I think that it's actually different. I think that Rey's story picks up right where we left off, but I don't necessarily think that the Resistance's did.
I kind of got the same impression. It very much reminded
theirs
me
was-
of like The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke is on Dagobah for some period of time,
Yeah.
and Han is on Cloud City for some
We
period
know
of time,
that-
and it's supposed to be the same period of time, but it doesn't quite feel like it lines up.
The 16 hours. She is at least on that island with Luke for 3 days, at least 3 days, and so she meets up with them when she gets on board. That's when she meets up with the timeline. But I don't know if it's right when that movie ended.
You know
Yeah,
what
I
I
think
thought
I
was
agree
weird?
with you.
You know what I thought was kind of weird is there were characters like Snoke, and you're like, holy crap, how's he gonna play out? And like Rey going to hand Luke his lightsaber, and like
Oh,
all
I
of
love
that
that.
stuff was just like out the window. It's like, damn, Snoke's dead, and damn, Luke doesn't
that
want
blew
his
my
lightsaber
mind.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's like he did, like he
That blew
totally
my- I was-
deconstructed J.J. Abrams.
I
Force
love it.
Awakens.
Because like
All the biggest
you go up
questions
to
were-
Snoke's chamber and you see these red guards and you're like, oh, and a Jedi. Okay. Nope. that was one of my favorite moments. Blew my mind.
When
That
Snoke got
lightsaber
killed?
fight.
Unreal.
Yeah.
That lightsaber fight.
And
It
later
might be my favorite lightsaber fight.
Snoke's hand falls off the podium when Hux goes in there with Kylo Ren. later.
No one else assumed that Snoke was gonna die.
I didn't.
I had no
I
idea.
didn't. I thought.
I totally could see it. I totally saw it.
Well, like the second before when the lightsaber turned to like, oh crap. So sorry, Nick. go on.
Yeah, well, no, it's just like Snoke was built up in Force Awakens to be like the big new bad guy, and just bam, undone. Like,
I absolutely love.
and I loved that. Like,
I loved how little Ryan Johnson cared about your fan theories. It's like, who are Rey's parents? Who is Snoke? What is Luke going to do to help
Exactly.
Rey? And Ryan Johnson's just like, F you, don't care.
Yeah.
I got my own story to tell, guys.
this is not gonna end how you think.
I loved it unironically. Oh, it was great.
There's a great article that I've been preaching to everybody on Slash Film. That's Ryan Johnson doesn't care what you think about Star Wars, and that's what makes it great. That's what makes it great, like The Last Jedi. It's just wonderful because I think too much we have to now. Oh, and that person was that person's father the whole time. Oh, and that was that. We don't. Who cares where stuff comes from? Go listen to Patton Oswalt's bit about George Lucas and the prequels, talking about like I don't care where the things I love come from. They just want them to be cool.
But he did show us where the blue milk comes from.
That was pretty awesome.
Those guys don't live on Tatooine. It's not like that's imported on Tatooine. Like we got the Jedi Rock milk.
You don't know that. This was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away. You know how it works.
Far,
That's a
far
remote-
away.
that's
And
a
it is
remote
only a long
planet.
time ago.
Someone was saying
Okay.
it's like
How about you shut it
Okay.
and let me make
someone
a
was saying
statement?
that online where it's like I wish it would say a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago plus 20 years or however many years between the last
Yeah.
movie,
Right.
you know, just to make it like and then some too, you know. Nate, go on. Things that you have
Just
nitpicks or
nitpicks. I didn't really have a lot. Like, I had a big smile on my face the whole time.
I bet, especially when Rose was on screen.
Yeah. No, I really liked her.
Sorry.
I wanted-
Sorry, I just wanted to
No,
lob
well,
another grenade over there.
well, Curtis brought up a good point. Like, we don't really know where she comes from and stuff, but like, I liked her enough to want to know more about her, and I'd like to see her character grow.
We came from a planet where we were slaves.
It doesn't matter.
She doesn't sound like that.
It doesn't sound like that.
No.
No, but I didn't really have anything that
Duh,
like,
you have
really
to use your ski.
bothered me too
Duh.
much. I just enjoyed like it was. I just felt like, yeah, I just felt like a little kid again, just like getting the best Christmas present ever. Like,
I do like that the new movies are coming out around Christmas time. 'Cause
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Better than
was
February.
looking forward to it more than I was looking forward to Christmas. Especially
Me
since
too.
I picked exactly what my wife got me. So it's like,
It's like no surprise there.
oh my, what is this? Yeah.
Can we?
I-
Hold on. I've got to wait. You're doing your favorite things, right?
I'm also gonna. Chris wanted to be here, but is in
Oh,
Los
okay.
San Lucas, so
Go ahead.
he sucks. But no. he said his expectations going in. We've made this blood oath of no trailers. He said going in, looking forward to seeing Rey training, figuring out what was next for Kylo Ren, and especially finding out what happened to keep Luke away for so long. He said, I love the line most about how he didn't find the most unfindable place in the galaxy for nothing.
Yeah.
I love it. He's like, where are you from? Nowhere. No one's from nowhere. From Jakku. Okay, that's
Okay,
pretty much I love levity there.
Yeah, that was great.
Favorite moment he said was when Rey catching the lightsaber after it cut through Snoke.
Yeah.
The first time he saw it was definitely Luke's death. Spoiler alert, if you're this far in the podcast, you're a moron. R2 playing Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi was a definite favorite. He said definitely very misty in our showing. Really liked Poe's journey in this movie, watching them turn from this invincible force of nature on his head. Luke was definitely my favorite part, though. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, Mark Hamill performances.
Probably my favorite Mark Hamill performance.
Because that was a quote that I read that I didn't want to read before the movie came out, where it was like him telling Ryan Johnson, "I disagree with what you're doing to this character, and now that I've said that, I have to pull it off." And I think he nailed it.
He did.
Just
Absolutely
blew it out of the water. Just unbelievable. Sorry, Steven, go on.
I was going to say another favorite moment.
Yeah.
So when Hodo turns that ship around and it goes to warp and it blows through that Star Destroyer,
No sound.
and then everything goes quiet and it's black and white and just holy crap! I don't think Star Wars has ever looked that good before.
There was a kid, the second time we saw it, there was a kid who out loud said, "Whoa!" A kid, like little kid, and it's how we all felt.
We went to a screening the first time. It seemed like I don't know, 90% of the people at the screening were there like with a company or with a family.
Yeah.
Because everyone seemed to know everybody. And every couple of minutes, when something cool would happen, they'd say like, "Hey, thanks, Ben," or like I forget the name, but like, "Thanks, Ben," and like this dead quiet moment of Holdo like destroying the fleet, and then the next scene comes up. "Thanks, Ben." Like after that moment had passed.
It's very funny.
And like Chris and I are in the back, covering our eyes during the Avengers trailer and everything. And, like, these like guys next to us are the only ones who like aren't part of this big huge group, just looking over like, what are those guys doing? We're like, we're not spoiling it for ourselves. Yeah, the Canto Bite, like, I mean, that does go a little long. I don't know. I just love seeing Finn and Rose together because I liked Rose.
I liked Finn.
She was different. It was different. That's what I think the strength of this movie is that it was different and it expanded things. And Luke, astral projection, whatever you want to call it, that blew my mind. Like him, Brady was saying it, just dusting it off. But like him,
I love that bit. Oh my gosh.
Cool.
But like him telling Kylo Ren, "See you around, kid," and he just vanishes after like owning him and not getting killed, and like Kylo Ren doesn't know what's going on. That just blew me away. That was probably my favorite line, favorite moment.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It is late.
It is 10:46 p.m.
I'm trying to think if there was anything like I didn't care for Admiral Holdo, but like her last couple of scenes redeemed her, I think. And that moment where she goes to warp, or goes to hyperspace, that blew my mind.
Well, I think that the thing is, like, you view Admiral Holdo from Poe's point of view.
Uh-huh.
Instead of from a bigger picture.
Yeah, Leia wakes up and then stuns him.
She's on, that was great.
She's on her side.
That was great. Oh my gosh.
And then she later makes up for that by saying, not makes up for it, but what are y'all looking at me for? Follow him.
Yeah. That
was a good baton
I like that
pass.
they both were like, yeah, I like him too. Like, even though they just like,
Yeah, this movie didn't do much for Finn's character, really. It did so much for Poe's. And Poe had almost no development in the first movie.
Because they were going to kill him off, but then they were like, wait a minute, we have Oscar Isaacs.
And so they keep him around, and then they do some really interesting things with him.
Yeah.
Just, I adore the
I was
decisions.
thinking the whole movie, that line from Rogue One, we're rebels, so we rebel. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And it's what he does.
Yeah.
And
it is who he is.
And that's not necessarily a good thing. I loved it.
Yep. It's what he is. It's who he is.
I want to talk about favorite characters and where do we go from here.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna start with Nate because poor guy had to wait through all of that. Go ahead.
What?
Your favorite character?
My favorite character?
And where do we go from here?
The second I saw the drawer shut with the Jedi books that were supposedly destroyed by Yoda.
With the fire, and he's laughing.
He's like,
That made me. I laughed.
when I saw it, and then like I love like Luke's like, the Force isn't just about moving rocks, and then, like she
moves rocks.
She's like,
Rocks.
but like that made me so excited to see where that character's gonna go because she got those books and she really wants to learn and she wants to do good and teach.
And she was tempted, and she pushed it away.
Yeah.
Tempted by Nipple Pants man, and like
Nipple Pants.
Oh my god, I could talk for hours about how much I love Rey.
that scene
Yeah.
with them, that was also another favorite. And while it's just on my mind, I want to talk about. Does anyone have any inklings about the Knights of Ren? Because it's brought up in the first movie. I don't think it's the dudes in the red armor. Are we to believe that there are other Dark Jedi that Kylo's going to bring back and train some more, and they're going to come after
Possibly.
Rey?
Probably. I don't know.
I think that'd
Yeah.
be cool. Like she's got to fight some mini bosses before she gets back to fighting Kylo Ren. Like,
Yeah.
If never mind.
What?
No, I'm just going to
No,
tell you
we
where I
wanna
think
hear-
we're going from here.
We want to hear.
In a little bit.
We'll go around.
Yep.
Okay. What? So Rey's gonna learn.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see where her character goes and how she's gonna grow and how, like, she's the Last Jedi and she has to be there to teach new people to be Jedi, and like, just how's she gonna find people and teach and how's she going to understand the texts in the books and all that stuff. I'm really, really excited about Rey. I love Poe too, so I don't know, but Rey was my favorite character. I think I mean, she's awesome. I'm glad that she's like the main focus of the new trilogy. But
I thought Daisy really did a good job.
yeah.
I was worried with the last movie because there were like a couple of scenes where I was like, like she could have done a little bit better, but she nailed the important ones in this one. I think she was great throughout. So.
I just feel bad because the thing is in Force Awakens you have that moment, and this is the moment where I was like, I love Rey. She's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Was her wearing the Rebel helmet?
Oh yeah.
Outside the
Yep.
outside the AT-AT, and I didn't feel like I got any of that with Rey in this film. Like there wasn't any lighthearted Rey, and that made me a little sad.
I think she grew as a character though.
She had a pretty rough time on that island, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
She told him, she'll, Kylo to put his shirt back on. That was,
Nipple Pants.
It's like Alice Eve in Star Trek
Yeah.
Into Darkness, where she's
Yeah.
like, I told you not to turn it around. You're like, yes,
Ooh, it
got her in
is.
the underwear.
Steven, favorite character? Where do we go from here?
So, it's favorite character. At first, it was kind of hard because I like Rose. I actually like Hodo. I'll go to bat for her because I think, for all the stuff that we talked about before, her character is really important and really meaningful. But all of that said, the minute I realized who my favorite character was, like, oh, of course that's who it is. It's Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren was my favorite character in The Force Awakens. He is still my favorite character. I was listening to the Writing Excuses podcast, which is Brandon Sanderson's writing advice podcast. And they were talking about The Force Awakens at some point in an episode about crafting monsters. And one of the panelists was talking about how a lot of people complained about Kylo Ren because he's just like this whiny boy with anger management problems. But in the year of our Lord, 2017, what is scarier than an entitled young man with anger management problems? We live in a time where that is the monster that we face. And Kylo Ren was that in The Force Awakens. And so I went into The Last Jedi kind of with that perspective on Kylo Ren. And in this movie, that's not quite who he is anymore. I mean, he's still that, as evidenced by the fact that he bashes the heck out of his helmet in that first
I'm
scene.
glad he did
Another
that. I
thing
thought
that
he ditched
JJ
it.
they just kind of
Yep.
hit the
I thought
helmet
he
thing.
ditched it
Cool.
on the because he didn't have it when he fought Rey and Finn in
Yeah.
the last scene in the last movie.
Yep.
I thought he left it on the walkway, but then he got he hurt the moneymaker, so he got-
I had to get another one.
Yeah.
But I just love that because he gets called out on the fact that he's a poser. And it makes him so mad that he kind of leaves that identity behind almost. Yep. And then he becomes Kylo Ren the Nihilist. Because he's got that whole scene with Rey in the throne room where he's like, let's run away together, you and me. There's no First Order, no Resistance, no Jedi, no Sith. Let's just... And this is the way I read it, and this might not be the right reading, but it's the way that I read it. Let's just burn everything down. Mm-hmm. Burn it all down.
the room is on fire when he says that.
Well, yeah, that's...
Works nicely.
And I don't know.
And the red curtain had burned away, and now they were open to new. Anyway,
Right.
Good.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. But
Yeah.
just like, no longer is Kylo Ren just the angry, entitled kid. But now he's also the angry, entitled kid with a lot of power and no ideals left. No heroes left.
Well, and the thing is, like, I've talked to a few people who are upset that he didn't have this redemption arc, and I think no, that's
He killed
perfect.
Han
He
Solo.
is immature.
He's not there yet.
He is so immature. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know where he's going to go. All that he cares about is moment to moment, and you cannot have a redemption arc when all you're caring about is moment to moment.
Right. Now, my initial theory for where these movies were going was Kylo Ren was going to wind up going to the light side, and Rey was going to wind up going to the dark side. I don't know if that's what's going to happen anymore. I don't think they've seeded that enough for Rey in this movie.
No, because she went immediately to the dark side, freaked out Luke, went to that pit of despair,
Yep.
weirdness, and there was nothing for her there.
That's really interesting that they did that.
That cool. I was a little like, what's going on? But then like her seeing all those versions of herself and snapping in time, and that was pretty cool.
That was pretty interesting, I gotta say.
Yeah.
This has been the most visually ambitious Star Wars movie I think,
Yeah.
Easily.
that we've gotten.
Easily.
Oh,
And even
that-
compared
that-
to Rogue, where Rogue's big idea was scale and gravitas,
Oh, man.
showing the scale of the Star Destroyers
Yeah.
next to the.
well, and I think that the
That's right,
idea
it's
of the white sand, red underneath,
Yeah.
That was
with the red
awesome.
salt, that
It
was
spectacular.
that provided the most visually spectacular
Yes.
moment, scene that we possibly could have had.
In such like a dire moment when it's like we have all these ATSTs and we got more. We're just gonna keep bringing guys down, and there's only like 50 of you.
And you're hiding behind these blast doors with nowhere to turn.
So I have where I think the series is going to go. And the way that I'm picturing it is that the ninth movie will end at a point where it could kind of loop into another episode 4 sort of situation. I don't think they're going to overthrow the First Order by the end. But we are going to see Kylo Ren running the First Order. And the image that I have in my mind is Azula at the very end of Avatar: The Last Airbender, where she's just bonkers.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I picture Kylo Ren going in particular. And I see the Resistance like going around establishing cells, recruiting people, to just kind of building up that support again.
They're gonna go get Maz. They're
gonna go get Maz,
guys.
yes. And I think the end of the film is going to basically be I think it's going to end with Rey establishing the Jedi again.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. We'll see what happens. I've been wrong on every theory so far, so we'll see.
Oh, it's my turn.
Favorite character? Where's this?
And we're not gonna.
So it's a tie between Finn, because he's just so pure of heart all the time, and I just love people that are like.
Well,
that.
except for the fact that he was trying to run away.
Let's go, Chrome Dome.
So
He was trying to.
he was trying to go
Rey.
save
For Rey. He wasn't
Rey.
running away. He was Rey.
Always pure intentions. Fight me.
Stop grabbing my hand.
Stop grabbing my hand.
Love that. Love that.
And I really, It's not for the reasons you guys think. I really love seeing the struggle with Kylo Ren. From The Force Awakens even to this. I've loved seeing his individual moments of, am I going to turn? Am I not? Am I going to turn? Am I going to, you know? And then he has that moment where he says, join me. And we see that he's made a decision. You know what I mean? And then
You're nobody, you're nothing, but not to me.
Yeah. I like him a lot. He has a lot going for him, that Kylo Ren.
Yes, he does.
What was the next question?
Where do you think the series is
Those
going
very
to go?
short answers. I don't know where the series is going to go, but I'm okay with it. I'm just kind of like, here's the thing. I came into Star Wars so late in my life that, like, I could, guess and conjecture and all that all day. I don't really even, like, I'm good. Just letting it go
It's
where
not
it
an
is.
emotional
Just take me on the
investment,
journey.
like,
Yeah.
it's not the same emotional investment as people who grew up with it and
Yes.
lived and died by it
Correct.
for a long
You
time.
are the tour guide. Just take me.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
We're this
you know
way.
what? Yeah, you dated people in high school. You had fun and friends and did cool stuff, huh? The rest of us were...
Oh, I did a lot of theater. I don't know about that.
I don't know. The theater kids in my high school, they interdated a lot.
That's a good way to put it.
They didn't interdate. They intermade out.
There you go.
It's true. There you go.
Yeah, more accurate. Yeah.
I'm gonna,
Why didn't I
Seahawks
take
junkies.
drama classes, gosh?
Because you didn't. Never mind. You weren't on top of it.
I wouldn't know what to do with myself and those lips. Like I'm still kind of navigating. How does kiss work? What does mouth do with? Why is mouth
you
here?
see,
Why? Is,
when you make enough spectacle, like with the white makeup and the kiss. Never mind.
Wow.
It's a really
Nope,
long story.
I was
nope,
trying
nope.
to help you out with that one, and it just wasn't coming together in my head. I just could not fix that leaky boat.
You want to see a great kiss? See the new Jumanji movie. That's all I'll say.
Does
So,
who I
Jack
think
Black
make
kisses
out?
The Rock, doesn't he?
Well, wouldn't you?
Or Kevin Hart. Either one.
Does Careless Whisper play?
So,
That's
I like
my
in
go-to.
Ratatouille when she almost maces him.
Yeah.
That's one of my all-time favorites.
That's really great. It's my favorite.
Actually, Coco was amazing too.
Coco was so good.
We haven't seen it.
I know. I'm
haven't
a
seen it.
bad person because I haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
amazing.
I'm
You're
sorry.
not a bad person.
Yeah,
you need to
I
see
saw
Greatest
I loved
Showman
it.
first. Anyway,
Sorry. Anyway.
Curtis's turn to.
favorite character is Rey for sure. 100%.
I thought you were going to say Rose.
I love the crap out of Rey. I love everything. She's awesome. In Force Awakens, she was awesome, and in this, she's even better.
That's the best moment.
We were talking about a very good Luke in this movie. There was also a really good Leia in this movie. I liked Leia a lot in this movie. The way that she was a general and she was an older figure, but she was a leader.
I just think she was a lot of Carrie Fisher in this movie, and that's totally fine.
That's
was.
okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I love Carrie Fisher, like her crazy, her. She's sassy. I
Her
like
dog was in the movie.
She was kind of not very
And then
good.
her dog recognized when she came on screen. Oh,
Anyway. The Force Awakens, she was not very good in that. Like, if I'm going to be totally honest, but she was fine in this. Anyway, where I think it's going, Benicio del Toro, like I said earlier, his character was important. He talks about where I think that this show is this is going. They say death, life, between it, power, peace. The end of Star Wars is Star Peace, right? I know that's kind of silly to say, but they are going to find balance in the Force by saying, we're not going to blow you up tomorrow. They blow you up today, you blow them up tomorrow. Benicio del Toro's character
Interesting.
talks about that.
I like it.
I think that they're going to have to find a mutual way to coexist. I don't know if it's going to be the death of Kylo or Rey. I think they're both going to survive. It is a lesson that we learned from A New Hope when Obi-Wan stopped fighting and said, I will be more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped fighting. When Yoda gave up, he didn't really give up. He stopped fighting. When Darth Vader threw the Emperor over, he stopped fighting after that. I think that the end of the series will be peace. And that's really the only way you can have balance, is in between. You can't fight anymore and have balance. Will that mean there has to be a compromise? I think so. You can't have the dark side of the Force and have a balanced Force. But if you can bring Kylo into a place where you say, Kylo, you are special, you can be a leader, but the dark side of the Force has lied to you. It's lied to everybody. I think that if we can see the destruction of the dark side and peace, I think that's where it's going. That's where I hope it goes. I hope we see the destruction of the dark side, not necessarily the death of Kylo Ren. I hope we see the destruction of the dark side and they stop fighting.
Well, then they can't make an episode 10, so you know that's not going to happen.
I know.
Ryan Johnson's doing his own trilogy separate from this storyline, set at a different time and place. There's,
Oh, I would love an Old Republic.
They're not going to do that because we already have that story. And he said that. He's like, no, those are great, but we already have seen those stories. And I'm like, up until that second I read that, I was like, do Revan and Malik, do Revan and Malik. And then he said that, and I was like, I don't want Revan and Malik. I don't want Revan and Malik. It was like,
I'm just like that time period.
yeah, sure. No, sure.
Also, I hope that it's going to a place where they treat R2-D2 a little bit better in the next movie than they did the last two. R2-D2 is my favorite character in all of Star Wars.
I was proved right because my theory that he speaks in beeps and bloops is because he curses like a sailor.
Yeah.
And basically what Luke said to him. Yeah.
Did you hear that, like, legitimately they re-recorded BB-8's, like, sound he made just weeks before they had gone to final pressing for Force Awakens?
I didn't know.
BB-8 was going to whistle and beep.
Oh.
But they said that kids can't mimic those sounds as easy. Because a kid can't go... he can't do any of these weird things. I can't even do it. You can't mimic R2-D2, but you can go, wah, 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 wah. Yeah, you can.
That's funny. I like
And so they changed it. Anyway,
Makes sense.
That's cool.
sorry. Go ahead. I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done. I think
Go
it'll be
ahead.
Star
Go ahead.
Piece
Go
for the
ahead.
end of Star Wars.
My favorite character was Nipple Pants.
Nipple Pants.
No, seriously, Kylo Ren was my favorite for all the reasons that we've already discussed for this podcast as well as for the last podcast. I think that he is just an amazing character and the best villain that they possibly could have had. And the best Star Wars villain, even though I honestly think that Darth Maul is one of the best villains in cinema because he's not talky.
Yeah.
Because he actually just gets down to business. But anyway, that's...
He shows up fights.
It was a cool fight scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darth Maul.
But other than that, I still love Poe, and with this, how it shows the inadequacies of his character type, and like Steven said, it's a complete deconstruction of Han Solo.
Yeah.
And I still love every word that comes out of his mouth. It's just golden. And, I look forward to seeing where he goes from here and his relationship with Rey, because that's going to happen.
I don't want it to. Stop it now.
I don't want any love triangles.
Yeah, the end. Oh, that's another thing that was annoying. At the very end where he's like, hi, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no.
Well, it was because of an
no,
observation made that they
no.
never met each other.
To be
Yeah.
fair, though,
But they set it up in such a way, or maybe it was just their line delivery. I don't know.
To be
I didn't
fair,
like it.
that's basically all Poe said to Finn in the first movie, and you got people shipping them. So
That's true.
It's what it boils down to is Oscar Isaacs is an attractive man. Okay.
True.
With his sexy racial ambiguity.
Wait, John Boyega is the sexy one of the two.
Look, there's enough
so much
sexy
sexiness
for a
going
lot
around.
of people
That's
in
what
this
I'm
movie.
saying. I'll take
Sorry.
that one and that one and that
It's not a menu.
one. It is for me.
And number 7.
And where I think it will go from here, I have zero expectations. Take me on the journey. I'm here for it.
And I'm
Yeah.
That's the same way I feel.
got it.
Yep.
I'm down for whatever because I had no expectations coming into this and I loved it the more for it. Because I think a lot of people's complaints is that they had this huge theory about, oh no, Rey is a Kenobi somehow, because who cares about time? And yeah.
Headcanon, no matter how well you think it is perceived, you're going to be disappointed if you go in
Whatever.
with that.
Headcanon is best canon.
I just still think Han Solo knew who she was.
Who Rey was?
Yeah. Continue.
I think they,
Sorry.
watching The Force Awakens, it feels like that, but also maybe they just wanted to leave it ambiguous.
Well,
and
and we may be told
maybe
we may be told the story in Solo that the reason why he knows her is because he comes from the same place,
Why?
the same life.
We didn't talk about this, but
Corellian.
that scene where I mean, we talk about the scene, but we didn't talk about this bit of the scene where Kylo is talking to Rey in the throne room, and he's like, "You know where you come from. Go ahead, say it. Say it out loud."
I was so worried that he was gonna say like, "I'm your sister." I was so worried. Or he
But,
was gonna be like, "I am your brother." I was so worried.
She says it, and she says, like, "I'm nobody. I came from, my parents were just junk traders, and they left me." Like, apparently that line gets a lot of flack. And people are like upset about that reveal because
I think it's perfect.
Because they were saying, no, she's gonna be like totally Luke's daughter.
But you look at her face. Let's talk about Daisy Ridley as an actress for a minute. You look at her face, devastated by just accepting the fact that this grand mythology that she thought she was a part of, she's not. At least not in the way that she'd hoped she was.
She grew up worshiping the rebellion.
She did.
And worshiping Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. And, you know, she wanted to believe that she was part of something bigger like they were. And that she had that connection with them. She wanted to be that.
Find her place in all of this. That's what she says.
Yeah. And you know, I think that goes into the disappointment that a lot of people might have with this movie, in that they expect it to be that. They expect it to be the continuation of the Skywalker story, and that's not where this goes.
Kylo is the continuation of the Skywalker story. He's a Skywalker.
That's true.
Sort of.
Well, and
Quarter.
like just the very last scene with that little boy getting his broom.
I was so
Holding up his
I was
Ring.
so
this
great.
close to standing up and clapping at that. The thing that would have done it is if he had started swinging the broom around like a lightsaber.
Yeah.
cut mid-swing or something.
Oh,
And if he would have made the noise with his mouth, what every kid does.
Yes. All of this in my face forever.
I think my favorite character is Luke, or Kylo Ren or Rey. It's tough to say, especially with Kylo Ren and Rey being so close the whole movie. And I love the way that they had these scenes together where they were linked, and you find out it was Snoke, but then they still at the end of the movie have a link. Yeah. I loved that because I wanted to see their parallel paths, you know, him becoming more dark, her becoming more light, and we get that, and we get them really close together with their relationship, and there's something there, but he's like
Can I
something.
can I say something too about why was it that Yoda that came to Luke? It's because I think Luke never really forgave Obi-Wan for lying to him. So Yoda came as a... Anyway, sorry. I loved the characterization of Luke in this.
Guinness is dead, but yeah,
Well, you could have you.
They could have had Ewan McGregor.
You could have.
You know he would have done it.
Yeah.
Or you could have CG'd him.
Oh, they could have CG'd it after,
Could've done whatever.
Governor Tarkin, you
man.
could do that. No, I mean, Yoda, everybody loves Yoda. And they puppeted him again. He was a puppet again.
Yeah,
It was
it was
great.
awesome. And not sweaty.
He burnt the crap out of that tree.
He was giggly Yoda again, and that's
my
the best
favorite
Yoda.
That's my favorite Yoda.
Not younglings.
Like he was saying, he was at peace. Like he was.
Yeah.
At peace. He was happy. He was.
He felt like a 450-year-old again, probably.
Yeah.
My favorite Yoda is the
Politics,
is
politics,
the
blah, blah,
laughing
blah.
Yoda, but it's the same Yoda that's in the Seagulls lip sync video.
That is, after Empire Strikes Back, that version of Yoda is, definitely better than...
Yeah. It's my favorite.
Luke, it was so unexpected, because you think Luke, like, he founds a Jedi school, and he's just a wise mentor to everyone, and then somehow peacefully dies later. Who cares? Doesn't matter, because really it's, and he was a broken old man. You know, his star pupil had wrecked everything, and his nephew, someone he loved, and because of him, because of one moment of weakness, all of this was wrecked, and he was, isolating himself and cutting himself off from the Force, and was just completely broken, and then turns it around to pull off the coolest Jedi move ever, and goes peacefully with two sons. Twin sunset.
I love
That
it.
was so. Oh my
That
god.
was
amazing.
All the problems I had, because it makes me sad that happened to Luke Skywalker. With watching
Right.
the original trilogy, this is
'Cause
how
you
Luke
love
ends,
Luke
and you're sad.
Skywalker.
But they did it so well that I'm okay with accepting that for Luke.
It
And that
ends
last
with the two
moment-
sons
with
with
the
the
music.
theme, with that. Oh, it was.
It's enough to break you.
I honestly go back and forth on which of the original trilogy is my favorite between the first and the third. New Hope and Return of the Jedi, and it's because of Luke in both of them. And Sir Alec Guinness, like we talked about, but Luke staring at the two suns in New Hope is so good, and in Return of the Jedi, Luke saying, "I am a Jedi, like my father before me." Whoa!
I need to watch Jedi again.
I'm
Jedi
getting
used to be-
goosebumps just talking about it.
Jedi used to be my favorite, and then it's Empire.
Yeah, it's Empire.
Jedi has the best lightsaber fight, potentially in any of the Star Wars movies, in terms of both having, the action, but more importantly, the lightsaber fights are typically about the ideological conflict.
Yeah.
The ideological conflict in Return of the Jedi is so chef's kiss. Mwah, so good. It's so good.
I liked the fight in the end of Force Awakens. The whole movie builds to that moment in the trees. And it's wonderful and beautiful.
And that's another
when she
visual
catches
one.
the lightsaber.
Oh no, dude!
And when Finn says, "Come and get it," man, he's going down, but it's gonna be cool until he does.
So I think that we're kind of skidding around this now. I'm just curious. Where does this fall in your personal rankings of the Star Wars movies?
We've lost Curtis. Surrendered to the hood.
Well, I'm gonna get things thrown.
Go.
You go first.
Okay, so for me, my rankings would go 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Where's Rogue One though?
Rogue One would probably be in between 8 and 4.
Here's what I gotta say about Rogue One. It's hard for me to make a ranking like that. I'll just say that Episode 8 is in my top 5. Well, I guess there's only about 5. Top 3. But then that's... I really like it a lot, and it's tough to say. Here's the toughest part, though, is that Rogue One is so good, I watch it thinking that they might escape every time I watch it. Knowing that they're doomed, and I still have hope that they might get away.
Rogue One makes all of the other movies better.
Yeah.
Because it gives gravitas and scale to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the guy who doesn't like Rogue One.
That's fine.
Okay, there are two of us.
That's fine.
Nate, what does this rank for you?
It ranks second. Empire's one of my all-time favorite movies. It just, like I said earlier, I love the lightsaber the fight between Luke and Darth Vader, and then the big cliffhanger, "I'm your father," and he's like, "No, that's not true. That's impossible." But the cliffhanger ending in that was where in the crap is this gonna go from here? And then this one, now we have that same kind of cliffhanger.
This is less
where
of a
the
cliffhanger
crap-
and more of a slate clean, will be wiped clean.
Yeah,
It's
so
literally anywhere.
it falls second for me. So I mean, the whole franchise is just so good. Anyway, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's late.
Yeah, that is.
11-16.
It falls in second place for me behind Empire Strikes Back.
This is probably my second, number 2 for me, with the understanding that 4 and 6 are probably tied. I like this one better than Empire, and I'm the weird guy that doesn't like Empire as much as the other two. Better than all of the prequels, easily. Better than Episode 7 for me. Better than Rogue One. I love it. I will give, we've talked about the flaws of the movie, and, Curtis, you're not wrong on a lot of the things that you say, but you give me a couple of good, really well-executed, emotional scenes. In particular, anything that's encouraging people to be better, and I will forgive a lot. And this movie had a lot of that.
Like I said, I loved all the Star Wars stuff, which is 90% of the movie.
I just don't know how to answer this question. Here's the thing. I've only really fully paid attention to episodes 1 through 6, twice through each of them. So I've seen The Force Awakens a lot more. So that's gonna be number 1 for me. Last Jedi probably after that.
That's great that the franchise can still get new people.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it helps that. I mean, when did the first Star Wars movie come out? 1977. Acting in 1977 and acting in 2015.
Different.
Way better now.
Well, there are other movies that came.
No.
The Godfather came out in 1975.
Okay. Even no. I know what I'm talking about.
Scarface is well acted.
Okay, here's the thing. When there's like two people in a movie, that makes it really good. That doesn't count.
Okay.
I'm not saying that The Godfather's a bad movie at all. It's not. It's a beautiful trilogy.
Some great acting, and it's really just two.
From some people.
Yes.
From some people.
Not a movie I can sit and watch. That's the thing, is I have to be able to sit and watch a movie to call it
So you prefer
excellent.
modern acting?
I do.
Okay, go on.
Just
wiping all crap before then. Those amazing actors that
I remember Harrison
being built on the foundation of this.
Go on. Harrison Ford said that he actually thought they were making like a B movie.
Yeah.
With
all of them did.
Yeah, they all thought they were just like in some stupid.
You can write this crap, but you
low
can't.
budget. Yeah. Anyway, sorry Emily, I cut you off.
You're fine.
Go on.
I don't know how to rank the rest. The episodes 1 through 3 kind of just or whatever for me because I don't care about them. So yeah, 7's best. 8's after that. Then I don't know.
Okay, so favorite or best? It's really hard for me because
favorite.
Okay, so favorite. So this is a lot of this has to do with nostalgia.
The best is Empire Strikes Back. That's like a fact in books that kids read in school nowadays.
It's true. So a lot of this has to do with nostalgia, and it's going to be a bad ranking. Not a lot of people are going to agree. It's my experiences with these movies. 7 is my favorite now. It really is.
I love it.
5 was the movie that made me fall in love with Star Wars. 6 was Star Wars to me. I watched 5 and 6 when I was growing up. I didn't really watch 4. Number 1 comes after that, Phantom Menace, because of the memories I have of being an 8-year-old, and that's what Star Wars was to me. Number 3, I loved number 3 when it came out. It's actually falling off in my love every time I watch it. I can't watch it anymore because it gets worse every time. It does. It makes me sad.
No, I have some of those movies.
Number 3, I can't watch it anymore because every time I watch it, it gets worse.
I'm totally with you on that.
And
There's
then,
so many movies that happens to me too.
Rogue One comes after number 3. Because I didn't love Rogue One, I think it was important, really cool. And when you talk about like the best made movie, it could have an argument for number 1. And then number 8. And then A New Hope, because I actually, New Hope for me is actually kind of hard to watch too. Like it's slow and it's not as good as the other ones. It's important. And then number 2, which is I think the very worst. Attack of the Clones is the very worst.
No one's going to argue with you on that.
Oh.
Yep, Attack of the Clones is the worst.
It's real bad, guys.
Go ahead, Brady.
Oh, I already did.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So I just want to say that I don't have a clever line to go out on.
See you around, kid.
See you around, kid. Oh, man.
This podcast is not going to end how you think.
Rebel scum.